A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment. For this is a time of mystery. A time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the haunting hour. A corpse there was.
Will you listen to me? I've got to tell it to someone, and, well, I guess you've heard a lot of strange stories. I'm Catherine Holland. It all started about a year after I come to work for Martin Reed and Stephen Corey as their housekeeper. Oh, we'd have such fun, the three of us. And Martin was forever making me promise that I'd be with them always. Always. I didn't know how long that could be.
You're only joking, huh, Kathy? You wouldn't leave us. You'll stay with us always, won't you?
Not if you keep doing that, Martin.
Oh, you'll get used to it, Kathy.
Oh, but cutting your own name on a tombstone, it's positively morbid.
I don't see that. If a cobbler can make his own shoes, then surely a stone cutter can make his own monument.
Well, that's true.
After all, a man must do something with his spare time. And you, Stephen, of all people, have no right to scoff at me. Imagine a cemetery caretaker who wanders through the graveyard day and night, talking to the dead.
If the people I met outside the cemetery, my dear Martin, were as interesting as the people I meet inside, perhaps I wouldn't. Since they're our only neighbors along this godforsaken road, and since I must get away from you occasionally...
Now, look here, enough is enough.
Are we going to let her boss us around, Martin? You nearly 60 and me twice her age?
That's right. You're 42, aren't you, Stephen?
Yep.
You know, I think for your next birthday, I'll start on a nice marble headstone for you.
Okay, I quit. I resign.
Oh, no, don't say that, Kathy. We need you, Stephen and I. Always before, our housekeepers were stout and rheumatic. You're so young. It was like all at once having the shades pulled up and the windows opened when you came. You won't leave us, will you, Kathy?
No, I won't leave you, Martin.
You promise?
I do. If you promise to take your medicine.
No, I told you, Kathy. I don't believe in that quack doctor. There's nothing wrong with my heart.
Oh, Martin, don't be stubborn.
It's not a matter of being stubborn. I know I'm perfectly all right.
How about those attacks you've had?
They were indigestion.
You don't want to take that medicine because you and the doc have been enemies for years. You won't give him the satisfaction of treating you, even if it means...
Please, Kathy. Don't you think I'm old enough to know my own mind?
But Kathy's right, Martin. You should take your medicine.
Oh, now you start. I'm going for a walk.
I'll go with you.
I don't want company.
Now he's mad.
Oh, don't take it to heart. He'll get over it.
I wish he hadn't gone out in this weather.
Yeah. I think it's getting worse. I'll go call him back.
Stephen, what's that noise?
I don't know. It was just outside the house. It's our cedar tree. That last flash of lightning struck it. There seems to be... Kathy!
What? Move away from the door so I can see too.
No, Kathy, please. Stay in here a minute. I'll go out.
Oh, I'll go with you.
I think I see something beside the cedar. Come on, Kathy.
Stephen, it can't be.
Yes. It's Martin. He's dead.
The tree?
It didn't touch him. He died from the shock of it falling so close. It was heartbreaking.
Martin the next evening. There weren't many mourners. We lived too far from town to be well acquainted. At last, the few who'd come went away and left Stephen and me alone at the grave. They've all gone.
Your eyes are all red, Kathy.
Do you suppose he likes where we buried him? Right across the road from the house?
I'm sure he does. He can sort of watch us from here if he gets lonely.
It won't be us much longer, Stephen.
What do you mean?
Well, I can't stay here with just you. It isn't proper.
Kathy, you know I wouldn't...
Oh, I know, but what'll people think?
I don't care about people. They're not important.
Well, they are to me. I have a good reputation, Stephen, and I don't
Kathy,
intend...
don't leave me.
Oh, but I must.
Losing Martin was unbearable, but if I lost you, I'd have nothing left.
I'm sorry, Stephen.
There'd be no one to care if I live or die. If you go, I'll be all alone.
You'll find another housekeeper.
Housekeeper? Oh, Kathy, dearest, don't be such a little fool.
I'm not a fool.
You are if you can't see how much I love you.
You love me? Oh, no.
How could I help it? You're sweet and fresh and lovely. And I never knew before what joy it was to watch a woman. Anything you do, the way you walk and laugh, even the way you get angry. It's beautiful.
Oh, keep away from me. I don't know what's come over you.
I was content just having you about the house, being near you, but now... Oh, my darling, you mustn't go away.
Oh, please don't look at me like that. Please, Stephen.
Dearest, let's get married. I'll make you happy.
No, I don't love you. Don't touch me. Oh, I like you a lot. I'm very fond of you, but... Well, it's not love. I could never love you.
Why, Kathy? I'll make you a good husband.
Oh, no, Stephen, no. You're twice my age.
But I'd worship you, Kathy, dearest.
Oh, to quit bawling Cassie, dearest, at me like a lost lamb. I'm going to the house and pack my things.
I won't let you go. You belong to me.
I don't belong to anyone. If you don't get out of my way, I'll throw this rock at you.
There's someone else. You love someone else.
No, Stephen, I just don't love you. Don't come near me. I'll throw it, I swear.
Kathy, no!
I told you I would, didn't I? Why couldn't you believe me? Well, get up. Stephen! He was lying on his back, motionless. I bent over him and... his face, the rocket caught him between the eyes. I couldn't think. I was terrified. I only knew that Stephen was dead, that I had killed him. A murderess, that's what everybody would say. They'd put me on trial, all those faces gaping at me like I wasn't human, and then they'd... No. Had to get out of here. The road past the graveyard. If I followed it, I'd reach the main highway. I'd run. I'd run so fast no one would catch me. Oh, it was dark. The body wouldn't be found till morning. By then I'd be far away. Had to keep moving. Had to. Where could I go? Where could I hide? Flying down the road for hours and hours, till my legs were numb and my heart tearing at my chest, deafening me with its thunder. No, that wasn't my heart. It was a car. They were looking for me. Somehow they'd found Stephen already. Oh, it was getting nearer and nearer. I slipped behind a tree. Not police. Not police at all. Picnickers. Oh, the only ones who might have seen me. They'll forget they even passed this way once they're safe at home. Safe at home. Suddenly I realized what a fool I'd been. I couldn't escape a police dragnet by running away. They'd never stop looking for me. The best place to hide was at home. Why, of course. I'd gone back to the house from the funeral and straight to bed. Stephen had decided to stay at the grave a while longer. Everyone in town knew he liked to wander through the cemetery, and especially tonight, with Martin just buried. He must have caught a prowler, and the man had thrown a rock at him. That's how it happened. I felt perfectly calm. I turned around and started back. The sky had been cloudy all evening, but as I walked up the road toward home, it cleared. I remember how lovely the moonlight looked, spilling down the steps of the house. I started to climb them. Suddenly, I had an impelling desire to see Stephen's body. Oh, I tried to fight it, but the thought of him, cold and crumpled, lying like some cast-off doll in an attic, hypnotized me. I went down the stairs and started across the road. He had been lying at the foot of Martin's grave, I remembered. From where I was, I couldn't make out the body. Oh, that wasn't right. The old man was buried directly across from the house. I should be able to see Stephen. I slipped through the gate, hurried to where the corpse had lain. It was gone. There wasn't a trace of it. I dropped to my hands and knees, searching about the new mound of earth for some proof that it hadn't all been a nightmare, that I'd really killed Stephen. There wasn't anything. No matted grass where the blood should have dried, nothing fallen from his pockets, not even the stone with which I'd struck him. And it was so quiet, so deathly quiet, with the moon whitewashing Martin's headstone, and the one next to it. The one next to it. But there hadn't been any grave there before. And this one was fresh. As fresh as Martin's. I slowly raised my eyes and looked at the tombstone.
Stephen Corey, born May 9th, 1901. Died April 20th, 1944.
Why, I'd know that carving anywhere. Martin was dead. But Martin had made that gravestone.
Kathy stands in the moonlight, staring at the grave plaque of Stephen Corey, a plaque identical with the one Martin had made for himself before he died.
And yet, how could Martin have carved that headstone? He had not made one for Stephen before he died, I knew that. Still, Stephen had been buried, and the date on the monument was right. I felt the answer, but I pushed it back away from my mind. It couldn't be true that Martin had kept his promise even now and had carved the stone. That these dead who were Stephen's friends had buried him. Had he loved me so he wouldn't make me pay for what I'd done? Did he plead with them to cover him so I'd not be found out? I didn't know. I was paralyzed with fright. I had to get out of here back to the house before I lost my sanity. I don't know how long I lay there, cowering in my bed. At last, the darkness of the night closed in about me, and I slept. But then, out of the darkness, the doorbell rang. Sharp sound, a streak of fear over my flesh. The police had come. Stephen's grave had been discovered. I had to go to the door.
Are you Catherine Holland? I'm Estelle Bailey, Martin's sister.
Oh, yes, I should have known. Come in, Mrs. Bailey.
Stephen sent me a telegram this afternoon about Martin's death, and I took the first train out here. I'm sorry if I woke you.
Oh, that's quite all right. Come in. I know it's been a long trip. Perhaps I can fix you a bite to eat.
No, thank you. I'd like you to take me to see the grave right away.
Martin's grave? Now?
Miss Holland, I hadn't seen Martin for 9 years. I'm ashamed of that, and I want to rectify it now as soon as I can. If you won't take me, perhaps Mr. Corey will.
Oh, he's not here. He's in town.
Well, I'll wait up till he comes in.
Oh, you'll wait a long time.
I don't understand.
Oh, Stephen was quite shocked by your brother's death, you know, and, well, he felt he had to get away from this house, so, well, he mightn't be back tonight.
But if he went into town, why didn't he meet me at the station as he wrote he would?
Well, I don't know. Every moment she sat there, she'd think more and more about Stephen's absence. I had to distract her the only way I could. I had to take the chance that she wouldn't notice that other headstone. But if she did notice it, I would have to kill her, too. But just then, something happened to spare us both.
Oh, good heavens. Oh, look, it's raining again.
Yes, the moon's gone in. It's pitch black outside.
Then there's no use going into the cemetery, I suppose.
I'm afraid not, Mrs. Bailey. What a shame. Finally, she went upstairs. I waited until I knew she slept. Then I took a spade and crept across to the cemetery. It was wet and cold, but I didn't notice the weather. For I had a scheme. A very clever scheme. I was going to dig up someone else's headstone as well as Stephen's and switch the two. I couldn't disguise his new-made grave, but at least I'd conceal who was buried there. It was just before dawn when I slipped back to the house. Mrs. Bailey woke me about 8, and together we went into the cemetery. I came up level with the graves, and... Oh, no. No, it couldn't be. Why, I'd switched them last night.
Stephen Corey, born May 9th, 1901. Died April 20th, 1944.
His headstone. Exactly where it had been before. But I had dug it up. There were blisters on my hands to prove it. Mrs. Bailey, had she noticed? No. She'd gone right to her brother's grave and stood staring at it, wiping away the tears.
I'm very glad of one thing, Miss Holland, that Martin is buried a little apart from everyone else. He liked to be alone most of the time, you know. Even in death, he would prefer solitude and being isolated from all the others.
Solitude? Isolated from all the others? But Stephen was lying right by his side. She couldn't see Stephen's headstone. It was incredible, but it was true.
Come, Miss Holland, it's raining. We might as well go now. I'll take the early train back to the city.
After she'd gone, the house was empty, yet full of a screaming silence. And I sat looking out at the grayness of the lonesome day. Had there really been a grave at all? Growing inside me was a grim fascination to see. The mud sucked at my shoes. Through the dusk, I walked determinedly toward that spot where the headstone stood. I slipped through the fence. Then I was standing beside the tree, leaning against it. For I couldn't believe what I saw. There, beside the others, stood a third headstone, and stretching almost at my feet, a freshly dug grave. Even before I crept forward to see, I knew what the plaque would say. Catherine Holland, born June 7th, 1923, dead April 21st, 1945. Tonight. April 21st. That was tonight. And I was still alive. Martin, listen to me wherever you are. I said I'd be with you always, but you can't force me to follow you. You can't force me to follow you. Tears filled my eyes. I took hold of the hateful stone and tried to flatten it into the ground. Then through the tears, I saw the dark bruises on my hands. Bruises on my hands, but it wasn't possible that... I touched one of the dark splotches. It rubbed away. Then the truth went through my mind. I fell to my knees. The letters I thought were carved into the stone. They too were blurred. I drew my finger along my name. It was lettered in black crayon, thick, archaic lettering, darker toward the middle than at the edges, giving the illusion of depth, giving the illusion of being cut into the stone. Then that's how Stephen's headstone was made. That's how. I stood up. Fear fell over me like a cold, wet sheet. Behind this adventure was a human being, a being like myself. Then I saw the thing in the grass, sending a tiny sparkle toward the dust-filled sky, and greedily I picked it up. A copper-colored metal cap from an eyebrow pencil. So that was how the letters had been drawn. That was how this thing had happened. Then I knew who had done it. And even before I turned to look, I knew she was standing there, staring at me, unmoving, a thin smile on her lips, her eyebrows thin, too, penciled on with surety and deftness.
Turn around, Miss Holland. I see you have guessed the truth.
It was you. You killed him.
But do you think my conscience will hurt me as yours does? Would it make your death any easier to know you didn't kill Stephen Corey?
I don't understand you.
I'm telling you the truth. I came into the cemetery just as the last visitor left, and I saw you throw the rock at Corey. I saw you run for the road. You hadn't killed him, Miss Holland. He was only unconscious. But I made sure he was dead before I buried him.
Then you dug the grave here. That spade in your hand.
Will serve a double purpose. I shall kill you with it.
Just as you murdered Corey. Why? Why did you kill him?
Because Martin had willed all the family property to Corey, with the provision that when he died, it would return to me. I knew if his body weren't discovered, they'd think you and he had run away together. Then I'd have to wait for him to be declared legally dead.
And so you put up the plaque?
I felt sure I could persuade the county coroner to file a death certificate quietly. Then I'd show my lawyer the grave, show him that Corey, too, was dead. But you came back, so I have to kill you, too. Now you know the truth. Your time has come.
That spade, Mrs. Bailey.
Is for you, Miss Holland.
Stay back from me. Stay back.
I'm going to kill you.
I'm not afraid, Mrs. Bailey. You're real. I can fight you.
This will be your grave, and I shall bury you in it.
Give me that spade. Give it to me. Go here. I said that spade. Mrs. Bailey. My eyes were clouded with flashes of blackness. I lay on the ground, feeling the cold, wet earth against my cheek. Without warning, it had happened. One wall of the grave gave way, and she lost her balance and fell forward into the gaping hole. Dirt from the mound began rolling down, clods of it covering the edges of her long skirt. And she lay still, silenced, at the bottom of the grave. A few wet clods of earth were still slowly tumbling down, as if they had an intelligence of their own, an intelligence that told them to bury the dead. Bury the dead. For she was dead, and she had died instantly. Her neck twisted beneath her loosened, flowing hair that hid the hideous sight of her eyebrows, thin and long. Her neck was broken, and she lay in the grave she had meant for me. Perhaps, now I've told it, I can forget the horror of what's happened. But not soon. Not soon. One way Martin was right. In my brain, he and Stephen will be with me always.
From shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubts and fears. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory in the haunting hour. No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment. For this is a time of mystery, a time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the haunting hour. Bird of Death. This is the story of a man named Spear, of a bird, a kind of carrion crow, and of a student of birds named Victor. This is also a story of Victor's uncle, Oren, but that comes later. At this moment, we are concerned only with the trio, Spear, Victor, and the bird of death, the crow.
Watch this, Victor. I'm going to get him. I wouldn't if I were you, Spear. Got him. No, you just wounded him. He's getting away. Why did you object to my shooting that bird? It's a member of the Corvus Coroni family, a kind of carrion crow. So what? Well, there's an old Indian tradition about those particular birds. A tradition, eh? Well, what is it? Not that I'm interested in those old superstitions. I would be if I were you, Spear. Why? Because, according to legend, it is the bird of death.
This is also the story of Victor's uncle, Oren, a man with a different kind of interest in birds, an interest that often took him and Spear to a certain marsh.
Are those all the decoys we brought with us, Spear?
Yes, sir.
Then roll over to the blind. Never can tell when a flight of ducks will come along.
Yes, sir.
There's that old fishing weir. It's a pity it isn't used anymore. I hate to see anything wasted.
Yes, sir.
Just a lot of stakes driven into the marsh. A fish trap. They bait it, the fish get in, and they're caught. Looks like an arrow from above.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad we put the decoys around it. It's a natural place for them. Makes the setting perfect. No duck will be suspicious of it.
Yes, sir.
You stop that infernal yes, sir. Can't you say anything besides yes, sir?
Yes. Of course, Mr. Oren. Anything you wish.
You know, you're too agreeable today, Spear. Too agreeable. There's a streak of cussedness in you. It's usually right beneath the surface, but you're covering it up today. You're covering it up real well. What's up?
Why, nothing. Nothing at all, Mr. Oren. I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't, eh? Well, most people don't know what the other fellow's talking about. That's what's wrong with the world. More people would. Hurry up, Spear. You're rowing as if we had all day.
Yes, sir.
Can't get over what a perfect setting that old fishing weir makes for our decoys. Why, the ducks have come right into the nozzles of our shotguns without suspecting there are any hunters around.
It's a good setup, all right.
Good. It's perfect. You know, that's what counts in the world, Spear. The setting. Give a man the right setting and he can get away with murder. Why, there's been many, Hey, Spear, you're not rowing toward the blind.
No, I'm not, Mr. Oren.
You're rowing toward the fishing weir. What's the big idea?
It's the right setting, Mr. Oren. Give a man the right setting and he can get away with murder. You said so yourself.
Murder? What are you talking about? Whose murder?
Yours, Mr. Oren.
Stop rowing. Now, Spear, I don't like this.
That's understandable. Most of us are cowards. We flinch from death. Even wealthy men like you, Mr. Orange.
Oh, stop joking.
Does this shotgun look as if I'm joking? You'll notice it's pointed right at your chest, and the shotgun at close range is a pretty messy weapon, I've read.
Why, you...
You needn't bother looking for your shotgun. It's behind me. You haven't a chance in the world of getting it. In fact, you haven't a chance, period.
Spear, you're crazy. You can't get away with this. I'll call for help.
In the first place, you won't call. The instant you even try to yell, I'll pull the trigger. In the second place, who'd hear you out here in the marsh?
Why, I don't... Victor. Yes, that's it. Victor might hear me. He often comes out here to study bird life. Or maybe one of the servants may be around here.
None of the servants will be around here today. You know Jed's too lazy to do anything he doesn't have to, and Kathy's rheumatism will keep her indoors on a day like this.
But Victor...
He won't be here today either. No, Mr. Oren, you'd better not count on help from your dear nephew. I've taken care of him.
You killed Victor?
Now, why would I do that? I only want to kill one man, and that's you, Mr. Oren. No, I saw to it that Victor received a new book on ornithology this morning. He's in his study reading about the habits of birds.
The habits of birds. Birds that, according to scientists, were once reptiles. But according to science, man was also once a reptile. So the lives of the two, birds and men, may at times be interwoven. In his study, Victor muses.
Birds are strange creatures. Jed, do you know that the Ardea Herodias...
The what?
The Ardea Herodias, the great blue heron.
You mean like them that live round the marsh?
Precisely. Well, the Ardea Herodias has one claw that's toothed.
You don't say.
I don't, but this book does. It says the middle toe is toothed.
What's the bird want teeth in his middle toe for?
I suppose to make it easier to hold on to the fish it catches. You've seen them catch fish, haven't you?
Yeah, especially around the old fish trap in the marsh. I don't reckon I ever saw one of them lose a fish once he grabbed a hold of it.
Precisely.
Oh, say, I reckon there ain't much them book writers don't know. Wonder how they learn it.
By observation, Jed. Oh, I tell you, this is a fine book. I just got it this morning. I don't know who sent it, but whoever did certainly knew what he was doing. It's a remarkable book. You ought to read it.
Yeah, I ain't no hand at book reading.
To think that a man like you or me, could learn so much about ornithology.
About what, Mr. Victor?
Ornithology, that's the scientific name for the study of bird life.
Oh.
And he learned it the right way, by watching birds in their native habitats.
Yeah. The what?
Where they live.
What do you want to do that for?
Because it's so interesting. It's fascinating. I think I'll go down to the marsh to watch the Ardea Herodias myself. Yes, that's what I'll do this very instant. I'm going to the marsh.
Oren went to the marsh to kill birds. Spear went to kill Oren. Victor is going to the marsh to observe birds. Birds and men, they're all interwoven as the threads of life and of death.
But why do you want to kill me, Spear? You've been my secretary almost 10 years. I've paid you well, haven't I? I've been good to you, haven't I?
But not as good as I'm going to be to myself.
Why, I even made a provision in my will for you.
But not as big as the provision I've made in it.
You've made? What are you talking about?
I've destroyed your will and substituted one to fit my own ambitions. I'm going to inherit quite a piece of your estate.
So you won't get away with it? You'll be found out.
Do you think so? How many years have I been signing your name to letters?
About 8.
Has anyone ever detected that it isn't your signature?
No, that is...
Exactly. No one will ever suspect the will is a forgery. Simple, isn't it?
But it is never simple, Spear.
You're quite philosophic for a man who's about to die. But you overlook the fact that I've planned this carefully for 5 years. I know every detail of what I'm going to do. There isn't a chance of a slip-up.
The perfect crime, eh?
Yes, I suppose you can call it that. Everything will go just as I planned it, Mr. Oren. With your money, I'll be on Easy Street the rest of my life.
I'm not dead yet.
I'll take care of that in a moment, sir.
There are easier ways of making money, Spear.
I like this way better. Incidentally, that's where you're going to be buried, Mr. Oren. Over there at the fishing weir. Take a good look at it. Not every man gets a chance to see his future grave.
No, not every man gets a chance to see his future grave. But every man has his own hopes of averting or at least delaying death. Other people may inadvertently help him. For instance, right now at Oren's house, Kathy, the housekeeper, is saying...
Jed, where's Mr. Victor?
In his study, I reckon.
You reckon. Oh, never seen such a man for not knowing nothing.
Well, ain't he in his study?
No, he ain't. Would I be asking if he was there?
No, I don't reckon you would.
Oh, there you go, reckoning again. Can't you give a body a straight answer?
What do you always want to be picking on me for, Kathy? I ain't no nursemaid to know where everybody's at all the time.
Now, Jed, you keep a civil tongue in your head. Master Goshen, you think a body said something outlandish to you. All I asked...
All you asked was if I knowed where Mr. Victor is, and I said... Say, I just remembered. He said he was going out to the marsh to see...
Just what I thought. He's going out to see if he can get a look at some of them wild birds he's so crazy about. Oh, I might have known it. That man'll be the death of me yet.
Well, what you carrying on like that for? Kind of man go for a walk to the marsh without you raising a ruckus?
Not without his Mackinaw on a raw day like this, he can't. That poor boy'll catch his death of cold. Goshen, I don't know what folks would do if I didn't look after him. Now, you get Mr. Victor's Mackinaw and take it to him right this minute.
Oh, Kathy, if he didn't take it himself, maybe it's 'cause he don't want it.
Jed, you do like I say. You take Mr. Victor's Mackinaw to him right this minute. If he had my rheumatism, he'd know better than leaving it behind.
But how am I going to know where he's at?
You just said yourself he was going to the marsh. Well, you go there, too. Keep looking till you find him.
Oh, all right. Don't get head up about it. I reckon all I do around here is go traipsing around following.
Have you had a good look at your future grave, Mr. Oren? You're going to be in it soon. I'm going to kill you with your own shotgun. It'll be the culmination of 5 years of careful planning.
Oh, you ungrateful wretch.
You ought to keep quiet and listen to me. And don't make any suspicious moves. I've got an itchy trigger finger, and I don't want anything to happen to you until I'm absolutely ready.
Spear, I'm telling you again.
You're telling me again that I can't get away with it. Well, you're wrong, Mr. Oren. You're not dealing with stocks and bonds now. You're dealing with human life. Your life.
All right, Spear. You win. I'll make a deal with you.
What kind of a deal?
I'll pay you as much money as you want. If only you won't kill me. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'll make you rich.
You'll double-cross me, that's what you'll do.
No, honestly.
Honestly, that's a laugh. What an awful sap you must think I am. Well, you turn me over to the police so fast it would make my head swim. But it's your head that's going to swim underwater.
No, Spear, please.
I'm going to shoot you, then I'm going to tie you to the bottom of one of the stakes of the fishing weir. You'll be fastened so securely you'll be there forever. No one will ever find you there.
Spear, listen to me. I'll do anything you say, anything. Only don't kill me.
You're stalling for time, Miss Aaron, but it won't do you any good.
Listen to me.
You know nothing you say will keep me from carrying out my plans.
I'll sign my property over to you. I'll make it legal. You'll be rich. I'll think it over.
I have thought it over. For 5 years. That's a long time, Miss Aaron. Everything is just as I planned it, including your begging for mercy.
I promise. I promise I'll never tell anybody about this. If only...
Of course you'll never tell anybody about this. You know the old saying, dead men tell no tales.
Spear, I don't want to die.
No one wants to die. And no one wants to lie at the bottom of a marsh tied to a fish trap. It isn't much of a monument, especially for a rich man like you, Mr. Aaron. But it's going to be yours for eternity.
Please.
Your proposition, if I let you live.
I'll do anything you want, Spear. Anything you want. I'll give you everything I've got. Oh, you'll never regret it. Believe me, you won't.
You're right. I'll never regret it. And by it, I mean this.
This is the story of Spear and a gun which he fired twice. The first time at a crow which he did not kill but merely crippled. The second time at his employer, Mr. Oren, whom he murdered on the spot. This is the story of Victor, Mr. Oren's nephew, a student of bird life who worries about the crippled crow and who questions Spear about the disappearance of his uncle. He does not know that Spear has fastened Mr. Oren's dead body to the bottom of an old fishing weir in the marsh.
You were right, Victor. That crow was the bird of death. Of course, I don't believe in Indian superstitions, but if I hadn't shot that bird, maybe Mr. Oren wouldn't be dead now.
Don't blame yourself, Spear. But what I can't understand is why we haven't been able to recover the body. That crew of men has been searching around the center of the marsh with grappling hooks all day now.
Maybe the body is caught on a shrub or something at the bottom.
This could be. If that's the case, I'll ask them to use dynamite.
Dynamite? I hadn't thought of that.
Are you sure you pointed out the exact spot where the accident happened?
I'm positive.
Then there's nothing to do but use dynamite. That'll dislodge anything in the immediate vicinity. Been using dynamite and still no sign of Uncle's body.
I'm just as sorry about that as you are, but as I said before, it's probably wedged between some shrubs or rocks down at the bottom. These old marshes are full of them, you know.
Yes.
I know how you must feel, Victor, but please bear in mind it isn't easy for me either.
I can understand that, your having been with him when it happened.
I'll never forget it. It was terrible. Last night I dreamed about it. I felt the water closing over me as I surface dived the last time trying to find him. My hands searched in vain. I could feel the water suffocating me, and then I awoke drenched in cold sweat. Oh, if only I could have saved him.
Don't blame yourself, Spear. You did everything you could. It's too bad Jed and I didn't get here about 5 minutes sooner. Then we could have helped.
Yes, it's too bad.
I can't get over an experienced hunter like Uncle capsizing the boat.
Well, as I told you before, he was so anxious to get the duck he'd shot, he leaned way over the gunwale as he reached for it. He leaned too far. The boat turned over, plunging us both into the water.
Yes, you told us about that.
I tried to get him to stay in the blind while I rowed out and retrieved the bird, but no, nothing would do but for him to get into the boat with me. I asked him not to.
Why?
Why what?
Why did you ask him not to get into the boat with you?
Oh, well, I don't really know, only...
Only you had a premonition. Is that it, Spear?
Well, no, that is not exactly... only there was no necessity for both of us going after the duck. I could have gotten it myself. I always have in the past when we went hunting together.
But this time, things worked out differently, eh, Spear?
Yes, this time things worked out differently.
Maybe things like that are planned.
What do you mean?
Oh, fate, destiny, you know, that sort of thing.
I believe everything happens according to plan. Everything.
Who will gainsay that everything does happen according to plan? But whose plan? And what is the plan? Is there no such thing as circumstance? And what part does it play in the plans a man may make?
And they haven't found the body yet?
Nary a sign of it, Kathy. Nary a sign.
Oh, poor Mr. Orrin, not getting a decent burial. It ain't right, him being down the bottom of the marsh like that. I tell you, Jed, it ain't right.
No, reckon ain't nobody going to argue with you about that. But a day's dynamiting ain't done no good. Ain't much more that can be done.
You mean they'll leave him down there?
I reckon so. What else can they do?
Well, I don't rightly know, but seems like they oughtn't to give up till they find poor Mr. Orrin's body.
Maybe they ain't never going to find it.
Why?
Maybe it just wasn't meant to be found.
Oh, Jed, you don't make no sense.
No, lots of things don't make no sense if you ask me.
Things like what?
Well, I don't rightly know how to put it, but some things just don't add up.
Oh, land of Goshen, Jed, you're going to drive me plumb crazy with that kind of talk. What things don't add up?
Well, it's like this, Kathy. You recollect you sent me out to the marsh to find Mr. Victor and give him his Mackinaw?
Of course I recollect.
Well, I done like you told me to. I found him moseying along toward the marsh, reading one of them books that he got the very day of Mr. Orrin's accident.
I know all about that.
Yeah, but here's what you don't know. He asked me to go to the marsh with him. He wanted to show me something about about blue heron. And so I went with him.
I know all about that, too. What of it?
Hold your horses, will you? I'm coming to that. We heard a shot from the marsh, along about the fishing weir, I'd say. And a few minutes later, when we got there was Mr. Spear, dripping water and climbing out of the marsh with his story about how Mr. Orrin was drowned.
Well, what don't add up with that? It's exactly what Mr. Spear's been telling about the accident.
Yeah, but according to his story, Mr. Orrin, he shot a duck from where they was hiding in the blind. The duck fell in the middle of the marsh, and he and Mr. Spear, they got in the boat and rowed out to get the dead bird.
That's right.
Mr. Orrin leans out to pick the duck out of the water, and the boat turns over, drowning him, even though Mr. Spear, according to his story, done everything he could to save Mr. Orrin. Now, appears to me that was a mighty short time for all that to happen. Seems like all them doings ought to take more than the 4 or 5 minutes it took me and Mr. Victor to get to the marsh and see Mr. Spear climbing out of it.
Oh, land of Goshen, Jed, that kind of talk would drive a body clean out of their mind. Maybe it took you and Mr. Victor more than 4 or 5 minutes to get to the edge of the marsh.
No, it didn't.
And even if it didn't, that don't mean nothing. Things just naturally happen fast sometimes.
Yeah, maybe. But still, it just don't set right with me. I reckon it ought to take more time than that for all them things to happen.
So they stopped dynamite now?
Yeah, Kathy. Mr. Victor finally give it up. Said there was no use keeping it up forever.
Oh, that means poor Mr. Orrin will be down there at the bottom of the marsh till doomsday.
I reckon so. I still say the whole thing don't add up just right.
Oh, now don't start that again, Jed. Body just can't stand being around you when you carry on with such crazy talk.
I just can't help feeling...
Oh, land of Goshen. You make even my rheumatism worse for that kind of talk.
All right, then, I'll keep quiet about it. But I still say...
There you go again.
All right. Don't get yourself het up.
You and your crazy talk. You haven't told Mr. Victor any of it, have you?
No.
Well, don't. He's got enough on his mind right now as is.
I won't say nary word about it to him.
Promise?
Yes, I promise.
That's better. By the way, where is Mr. Victor now?
I reckon he and Mr. Spears over at the lawyer's for the reading of the will.
Looks like they could have waited a spell before they went into that.
Mr. Spears said they might as well get it over with.
Guess he's right. I get all fussed up inside thinking of poor Mr. Orrin resting down the butt. Jed, where you going?
I think I'll just mosey on over to the marsh for a spell. I just can't get it through my head why the whole thing don't add up.
Believe me, Victor, the contents of the will are as much of a surprise to me as they must be to you. I thought Mr. Orrin would remember me, but I didn't dream he would leave me the bulk of his estate.
Neither did I.
I'm sorry if it upset your plans in any way.
My plans? Looks as though Uncle didn't think much of them.
Then he knew about them?
He knew I wanted to devote my life to ornithology. He gave me the impression he approved of it.
He must have changed his mind.
Evidently. But it doesn't change mine. I'm going to be an ornithologist. I played around with it before as a hobby, but I'm in dead earnest now. I'm going to start right away. In fact, right now.
Now?
Yes. Spear, I'm going to begin with the birds I've observed closely the last few days.
But, Victor, you were at the marsh the last few days.
Precisely. And there were birds there, birds I want to see again. Spear, drive as close to the marsh as you can, and we'll walk the rest of the way.
If you don't mind my saying so, it sounds rather silly to me.
Do you mind doing what I ask?
No, I don't mind. Why should I?
I don't know. But then there are other things I don't know. Things I intend to find out about. Do you have a gun?
A what?
A gun. What's the matter? Don't you understand English?
Look, Victor, I can understand your being upset about the will.
Well, have you got a gun or haven't you?
There's a double-barrel shotgun in the back of the car.
That's perfect for what I want. Now, row out to the middle of the marsh, where the accident happened.
Very well, if that's what you want, but it seems rather...
That's what I want.
Okay. Well, here we are. Now, what's this got to do with birds?
Plenty. See that buzzard of a crow sitting there on the fishing weir? The bird you crippled? Well, watch me take a shot at him.
You missed him.
I intended to. Killing isn't in my line.
What does that crack mean?
You'll know soon enough.
I don't understand you, Victor. First you try to keep me from shooting that bird. Then you take a crack at him and miss him on purpose. You must be losing your mind.
On the contrary, my mind is just beginning to function. Now, Spear, I want you to row over to the fish trap.
Huh?
You heard me. I said row over to the fishing weir.
Now, look, Victor, I've had all of this I want. You can't order me around.
I'll remind you that this is a double-barrel shotgun. Only one shell has been fired, so the other barrel is still loaded, and it's pointed right at you. Do I make myself understood?
Yes.
All right, then. Row. Edge the boat over a little, Spear. Right against the stake that crow is sitting on.
Why, it's back.
Yes, it's back. Back on the same stake it's been sitting on for 3 days now. It just sits there and stares hungrily straight down into the water.
Well, what of it?
That bird is a scavenger, Spear. It isn't here to catch fish like the other birds. It's only interested in carrion.
All right, so it's interested in carrion. What's that to me?
You're interested in carrion too, Spear, but in a different way.
You're crazy. You don't know what you're saying.
Prove it. Let's investigate that stake, the one the bird was perched on.
No, let's go back to the house.
You're afraid because my uncle's corpse is at the other end of it, Spear.
No, of course not. It's because...
Why you give me that?
No, I've got the gun. All right, your uncle's down there at the bottom of the fish trap. I killed him just as I'm going to kill you right...
I got him just in time, Mr. Victor. I heard what he said. I was there in the duck blind. I'm sure glad I had my rifle with me.
I told him that Corvus Coroni was the bird of death.
This is the story of a man named Spear, of a bird, a kind of carrion crow, of a student of bird life named Victor, and of his uncle, Orrin. A story of birds and men interwoven as the threads of life and death. shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubts and fears. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory in the haunting hour. No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment, for this is a time of mystery, a time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the haunting hour. Breakdown. Sybil Wells' gray head lies wearily on her pillow. Her eyelids are closed, as if it were too great an effort to lift them. She can hear Dr. Adams and her nurse talking, but they seem distant, remote, much farther away than the thoughts in her own brain.
She'll be all right now, nurse. Just give her this every hour.
Very well, Dr. Adams. It's amazing she's pulled through, isn't it? I've been ill. Very ill. For how long, I could not even guess.
It was a close call, but then she's always had a good constitution. I've known her for many years.
Since I was 20. Since before it happened to Father.
No, it's not her physical health that worries me. She's always been high-strung, nervous, like her father was. Before, well, I suppose you know.
Not my physical health. What does he mean? Why must he tell her that Father died in an insane asylum?
Poor Mr. Courtney. His family had to commit him. Mad as a March hare, of course. But each time I'd visit his cell, he'd plead that he was sane.
Yes, he'd plead he was sane. And his eyes would be wild and desperate. And dead of hope.
Sybil, I'm not mad. You're the only one who loves me, who cares if I live or die. Please, make the doctor understand. I've been railroaded here, Sybil, because I had money and they wanted it.
Oh, Daddy, I have to go now.
You don't believe me. You don't believe me either.
Oh, of course I do.
No. Oh, Lord, if you could only know how it feels to live among these dead and be considered one.
Oh, Daddy, please, please. I must go now. Goodbye.
Oh, Sybil. Sybil, I swear I'm sane. Sybil, I'm sane. I swear.
Tragic case. Well, I'll drop in tomorrow to see how she's doing.
Madness. The horror of vacuum. I guess I'd always feared it. I was sitting up in bed now. Except for the weakness, I could hardly recall that I'd been ill. Good morning, Nurse Kern.
Good morning, Mrs. Wells. I'll take that breakfast tray. And I think you're well enough to have the morning paper if you wish.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I haven't seen one for weeks. I settled back against the pillows and began to read. Earthquake, followed by fire, was yesterday for 33 miles along the shore. 14 people were many more injured. Authorities have the damage $4 million. It didn't make sense. I read another sentence, and then a different article. What was wrong with me? Oh, of course, my eyes. I'd been ill for so long, that's all it was. Nurse! Mrs. Curran! Yes, Mrs. Wells? Nurse, will you please read this newspaper to me?
Why, of course. Is anything wrong? You look so...
Oh, no, everything's fine. It's just my eyes.
I see. Well, what shall I read?
This one.
Earthquake followed by fire was yesterday for 33 miles.
She read on. Her face was grave and slightly bored. She showed no surprise, no puzzlement. The words made sense to her. It was only I who couldn't understand them. Only I to whom they were a senseless jumble.
People learning more...
Stop it! I don't want to hear any more. Please, just leave me alone, Nurse Curran.
But, Mrs. Wells...
Leave me alone, I tell you! Leave me alone! That was the first discrepancy in my mind. I don't know how long I'd been hearing the music. It had seemed all part of a dream. But then it began to unnerve me. It became frenzied and hating and evil. It sounded like all the demons of hell and the things of the night were after me. Make it stop! Make it go away! Please!
Well, what's the matter?
Oh, it's all right now. It's all right. The music's gone away.
The music? What music?
For a few days after that, it didn't bother me. Not till early one evening. I'd rung for Nurse Curran twice. Where was she? I was very angry. I got out of bed and went across the room to the door. Mrs. Curran! She was walking down the hall, her back toward me. And she had my little daughter by the hand. Elsie, my baby. Her sailor hat was bobbing over her curls as she skipped. She had on a blue flouncy dress and the long white stockings and Mary Jane she loved to wear. Elsie! Elsie, darling! Why didn't they stop? They walked right on as if I hadn't spoken. Nurse! They turned the corner, then out of my sight. I began to run. Do you hear me? Stop, Mrs. Curran. I want to talk to you.
Why, whatever is the matter, Mrs. Wells?
Where's Elsie?
Elsie?
Yes, my daughter. I saw you walking down the hall with her, and then you turned this corner, and now she's gone. Where is she?
I assure you, Mrs. Wells, I was with no one. As a matter of fact, I didn't know you have a daughter.
Oh. Well, I haven't anymore. She was drowned with her father 20 years ago. I knew I had to be more cautious after that. For if Nurse Curran ever suspected, she'd tell the doctor. And I'd seen enough of those walls when I was a girl.
Well, how are you, Sybil? How does it feel to be downstairs for dinner?
Oh, if you're ready to eat, I'll start serving.
Why, Mrs. Curran, you needn't do that. Where's Mary?
Well, there wasn't much for her to do with you ill, Mrs. Wells, so when she asked to visit her sister for a few weeks, I didn't want to disturb you with details.
Oh, I see. That's all right, Mrs. Curran.
Then I'll get the soup.
Sybil, I've been worried about you.
Worried? Really?
you're not recuperating as quickly as you should. And, well, Curran's been telling me things that...
Yes, what has she said?
Oh, nothing much, really, but perhaps you're a bit more ill than we thought.
So she had noticed. I must be careful, very careful. Whatever happens, I must never let them send me there.
I said, will you have your soup, Mrs. Wells?
Oh, yes, please.
And you, Doctor?
Yes, thank you.
I took my first spoonful and could barely swallow it. The soup tasted far too salty. I was about to remark as much to the doctor when he said...
Delicious soup,
Delicious. Oh, of course, George. Of course.
Sybil, what's wrong? You hardly touched a thing all through dinner.
Well, I guess I'm just not very hungry. Salt. Everything tasted of salt. First my sight, then my hearing, and now even this sense was playing me false. How long could I go on hiding what was happening to me? I think I should have resigned myself to insanity. If the very next afternoon I hadn't wakened early from my nap. I wanted some warm milk, and when Mrs. Curran didn't answer my ring, I went down to the kitchen myself. Nurse Curran, is that you? Oh, it was a child. A little blonde girl who greatly resembled my daughter. She was playing with a toy tea set.
Mother isn't here right now. She's gone to the village for some groceries. Would you like to have tea with me? It's only make-believe, of course.
Mrs. Curran is your mother?
Yes, I'm Jean.
She never told me she had a daughter, nor that the child was living in my house with her.
Here's your tea. Sugar or cream? Oh, I forgot. You only take salt in your food.
I only take salt? What do you mean, dear? I don't quite understand.
Oh, my mother explained to me. I asked her why she put so much salt in everything she brought you to eat last night. And that's what she said, that you only take salt in your food.
Jeannie, are you sure of that?
Yes, of course. I know who you are. You're Mrs. Wells, the funny lady we had to play a game with.
What kind of a game, Jeannie?
Well, dressing me in those funny clothes Mother found in the attic. And not looking around when you called to us. And then, when we turned the corner, I had to pop right into the linen closet and not make a sound until Mother called. It was like hide and seek. Only you didn't find me.
Yes, it had been a hideous, twisted parody of hide and seek. But at last I knew I was not going mad. I had been terrified, blundering in the dark against an unknown opponent. But the game was clear to me now, and the rules, and the tricks, and most vital of all, my foe. Nurse Curran had tried to drive me mad, was still trying, but I could fight her. I had to fight her, for the sake of my sanity.
Mommy now.
Now, Jeannie, listen to me. Your mother mustn't know I was down here talking to you.
Why, Mrs. Wells? Why shouldn't I tell her? Why, Mrs. Wells? Why shouldn't I tell her?
Well, it's a game, Jeannie. It's like that hide and seek we played, remember? Please promise you won't say anything about my seeing you this afternoon.
I promise. I promise, Mrs. Wells.
I needed patience now, and cunning. Mrs. Curran was trying to destroy my reason. I couldn't let her succeed, but I needed definite evidence. And then one day, a letter came. A letter? From me, Mrs. Curran?
Yes, it's postmarked New York City.
Well, now, who would be writing me from there? It's from my brother, Frank. He's coming to see me and bringing a friend of his along. Someone who can help me, he says.
When does he arrive, Mrs. Wells?
On the 24th, the 3:30 train.
Well, he didn't give you much warning. That's today, you know.
I wonder why he's coming.
You're his sister, and you're ill. What better reason?
Frank and I have always loathed each other. He's not traveling all this way for affection's sake.
It might be nice if I met the train.
Well, if you think he'd appreciate it, you're very much mistaken. By the time you get there, he'll probably have chartered the most expensive car in town anyway. Frank's a spendthrift and a wastrel. He ran through his share of my father's estate before Daddy was cold in his grave.
Just the same, it would be a nice thing to do, wouldn't it, Mrs. Wells?
Well, you know where the car keys are if you insist on being polite. Go ahead and meet him. Yes?
Special delivery for Mrs. Agnes Curran. That's your nurse, ain't it, Miss Wells?
Oh, yes, it is. I'll take it, Postman. She's not in right now.
I'm awfully sorry this is late, ma'am. But you see, one of our sorters put it in the regular mail route back, and I only just discovered it.
Oh, I don't suppose there's any great harm done.
Oh, well, thank you. I hope not. Well, goodbye, ma'am.
Goodbye. I shut the door quickly and stood turning the letter over in my hands, for I had suddenly recognized the writing on the envelope. It was Frank's. And how could he know the name of my private nurse unless they knew each other? George hadn't corresponded with him, I was sure. He was aware of the hatred between us. I quickly ripped the envelope.
Dear Agnes, just a line to let you know of Jean's safe arrival. I think your fears that Sybil saw her and suspects you are groundless, but perhaps it is safest this way. I feel sure that by this time my dear sister has passed, or at any rate is near, the breaking point. I'm coming down next Thursday and will bring a specialist with me. I am certain that when she tells him of her hallucinations, shall we call them, he will have no hesitancy in declaring her insane.
There it was. The whole fiendish scheme. I held all the proof I needed right in my hand. I called George and asked him to come over as quickly as he could. And then I'd barely gotten upstairs when I heard the front door open.
Sybil!
Please, Mr. Courtney, she may have fallen asleep. She's still rather weak, you know.
Of course. I understand.
If you and Dr. Randall make yourselves comfortable, I'll go upstairs and see how she is.
Splendid idea, nurse. Mrs. Kern, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
If only George would come. Now the showdown was at hand, I was frightened. The nearer she came, the more frantically my heart beat. These next few minutes would decide so much for me. And I was alone. I felt sick with terror at having to face Mrs. Kern without George's comforting presence to reassure me, to make me know that everything would be all right. Because if I played my hand wrong now, if I couldn't convince the specialist of my sanity, I might never spend another night in this house.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I startle you, Mrs. Wells?
Well, I didn't hear you come in.
Your brother and Dr. Randall are in the parlor.
Oh, yes.
Well, don't you want to come down and see them?
We're not leaving this room just yet, Nurse Curran. Not until we settle a few things.
But I don't understand. Is there anything wrong, Mrs. Wells?
No. I'm just curious. Where did you have that trick newspaper printed?
What?
And how did you manage the music that night? Was it a phonograph record played from your room directly into the ventilator?
I don't get what you're talking about.
Oh, yes, you do. I've known for almost a week what you were up to, young lady. But I wasn't sure just why you were doing it or who was behind you. I am now.
You're crazy. I felt it all along. You're mad.
Oh, no, my dear. That was your aim, but you didn't succeed. You see this letter? The same stationery as the one I received today. The same handwriting, too. But this was written to you, Mrs. Curran. Fortunately, it wasn't delivered till after you'd left the house.
Give me that.
Oh, no. No. You'll have to kill me to get that. And I'd rather be dead than be in an institution. And we wouldn't want too loud a scene with that specialist downstairs, would we? He's not in my brother's pay, is he?
No. All right. You win. I was working for Frank. He promised me a share in the estate.
Why, I can't believe it. I simply can't believe it.
George. Oh, thank heaven.
Now, Sybil, don't cry. You know, she almost had me fooled, Sybil.
Well, here's the proof, George. A letter that Frank wrote to her.
Dear Agnes, coming down next Thursday, declaring her insane. Sybil, you'd better go downstairs and bring Dr. Randall and your precious brother up here immediately.
10 minutes before, I'd run down these steps, an old woman. But everything was different now. The shadow had been lifted. I was free again.
Well. My dear sister, Sybil.
Don't you dare sister me, Frank.
Why, Sybil, and here I brought Dr. Randall all this way to see you.
To see me, indeed. To declare me insane so you could get your foul claws on the rest of Father's money.
Sybil, what are you saying?
I don't think I understand, Mrs. Wells.
I told her she was...
Mad? Insane? Yes, I'm sure you did. And it's no fault of yours that I'm not. Dr. Randall, a few weeks ago I was very ill. My brother took advantage of that by planting Nurse Curran with me. She took all her orders from him, and those orders were to drive me insane.
Oh, I never heard of such a thing. I hadn't realized she was quite so badly off as this, Randall.
Oh, there's no use your blustering anymore, Frank. George Adams has written proof upstairs. The letter you sent Mrs. Curran.
Why, I never wrote her my whole life. I never met the girl till today.
Suppose we go and see what this is all about. Well, Courtney?
Oh, of course. As you say, Doctor.
Frank's face was gray. Perspiration beaded his brow as we went back up to my bedroom. George and Mrs. Curran were standing by the window quietly when I opened the door. Here they are, George.
Yes. Thank you, Sybil.
Well, aren't you going to show Dr. Randall the letter?
What letter, Sybil?
The one Frank wrote Mrs. Curran. The one
There isn't any letter, Sybil.
But I gave it to you just before I went downstairs.
Mrs. Wells told me she had definite proof that Mr. Courtney was planning to railroad her.
It's terrible how convincing they can be. Isn't it, Randall? How very convincing.
I see.
George! George!
I could hardly bear to recognize those first signs, Dr. Randall. I've known Sybil for 30 years. She was very dear to me.
What did you do with it? Is it burned or torn into little pieces in your pocket, George? Where's that letter?
But I'm too much of a physician to blind myself to facts. She'll be happy.
Behind those walls, George, those walls where you and Frank put my father.
Come, Mrs. Wells, you'd better come with me.
No, you can't believe them. They're lying. No, please, no.
You'd better take her right to the sanitarium. It's not safe to keep her here another day.
Yes, I'm afraid you're right.
I'll help you with her. We can use my car.
Don't touch me, George. Don't you come near me. Get your hands on me.
Adams, let her go. You seem to excite her unduly. Now, please, Mrs. Wells, take my arm. You know we want to do what is best for you.
Dr. Randall, please, I swear this on my eternal soul. There was a letter. It was special delivery written by my brother Frank to Nurse Curran.
I wish I could believe you, Mrs. Wells. Watch your step, Sybil.
Don't be so solicitous, George. I'd rather you'd kill me than betray me as you have.
If there were one shred of evidence on your side, Mrs. Wells, one slightest bit of proof.
Oh, say, I beg your pardon, Miss Wells. I had to come all the way back again. I forgot to have you sign this slip on that special delivery for Mrs. Curran.
Adams, give me those car keys. And turn around. We're going back into that house. I think we've got a few things to discuss.
shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubt and fear. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory. In the haunting hour. No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment. For this is a time of mystery, a time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the haunting hour. Date in the dark. Midnight. Midnight in the metropolis. Town of 1,000 moods and contrasts. Of wealth and lightness and laughter. Of poverty, heartbreak, and tears. Of shadowy people and dark, dark things. Big city, hard-boiled and tender. Weak and mean and cheap, without dignity. And great and proud and powerful. And the metropolis at midnight, filled with the high spirits of joy-seekers, revelers who give way to the goodness of living or try to forget the badness of living. Midnight that is brooding, sinister. The sounds of the big city at midnight, the squeaks and roars of taxicabs, the rumble of trucks, the moan of river boats, and underground, the subway, and under and above, the sounds of the people, shrill, ribald, futile. But there is quiet, too, in the teeming city at midnight. The quiet that is broken by the wail of a child, the rattle of a snore, or, as in the home of Earl Breton, a private detective, and his partner, Owen Bailey, called the Professor, the telephone rings. And the professor answers it.
Hello?
Earl Breton?
No, this is Mr. Bailey, Breton's partner. Who's calling?
This is Bill Henderson. Is Earl there?
Just a moment. It's Bill Henderson, Earl. Do you want to talk to him?
Bill Henderson? What does that crooked politician want?
Sounds very anxious.
Oh, that's too bad. Tell him I'm very busy. I gotta go to sleep.
Hello, Mr. Henderson.
Yeah?
I'm sorry, but Mr. Breton is not in...
Bailey. If Earl doesn't talk to me, he may be responsible for my death.
I can't possibly see how that...
Let me have the phone, Professor. Hello, Anderson. Is you, Earl? Yeah, what's on your mind? I gotta see you right away, Earl. Can you meet me down at your office? Office hours are from 10 to 2, Henderson. You know that. I'll see you tomorrow. No, wait, Earl, wait. I tell you gotta see me tonight. Now, look, I can't... Wait until tomorrow, because I may never get there tomorrow. How do you figure? I can't explain it on the phone, but I know what I'm talking about. I gotta see you tonight. Gotta. Where are you now? I'm at my house. Okay, give me a few minutes to get a cup of something warm. I'll meet you down at the office. Oh, thanks a million, Earl. Never mind the thanks. Bring some money with you. Don't worry about that, Earl. This is worth anything to me. Goodbye.
That seems to be his trouble, Earl.
Well, he's probably swindled one guy too many.
Good.
What do you mean, good?
I mean, he picked a good time for it. We can very well use the money, you know.
Well, you can start drawing the bill now, Professor. And remember, after office hours, it's triple the usual.
Here comes the elevator now, Earl.
If we ever make enough dough, Professor, remind me to move out of this broken-down building.
All buildings are pretty much alike at this hour of night.
How do they expect one old guy to take care of this whole thing by himself?
He manages if you don't rush him.
Yeah.
What devil has got his finger on it? Oh, it's you, Mr. Britton. Says you'll never be known as a patient man.
I hate waiting for elevators, old-timer.
Good evening, Mr. Bailey.
Good evening. You've got lots to do around here, haven't you?
Sure. I've got to make the rounds, you know.
How's business?
Oh, very slow, Mr. Britton. You're the only two people I've seen all night.
Hey, it's pitch black out here, isn't it?
You want me to put the hall lights on?
Don't bother, old-timer. We'll make it.
It might help if you throw your flashlight beam down the hall.
Oh, sure thing. How's this?
That's fine. Here. I've got the key, Earl.
Right. Thanks, old-timer. We're okay now.
I'll be seeing you on the way out.
Now, if I can just find the switch. Here.
What's the matter with the light?
Looks like the switch don't work.
It's working all right when I left this evening. Where'd I find the desk lamp?
Find it, Earl?
Yeah. You didn't take the bulb out of this lamp, did you, Professor?
Of course not.
I've got an idea, Professor, that we have company.
You're a very smart chap, Breton.
Who's that?
Just stay where you are, both of you, and don't ask any questions. Mr. Breton knows that those lights are not out by accident, but if either of you makes a false move, there could be one.
What are you looking for?
Information.
And why keep us in the dark?
There's enough light for me from that street lamp shining in your window. I can see you both.
What do you want to know?
I understand, Breton, that you got some new dope on the Kennedy murder. Am I right?
Kennedy murder? Why, the police gave Kennedy up as a suicide 5 years ago. What would I be...
Stay where you are, Breton. I told you I can see.
Yeah, sure. Seems kind of... Yeah, I guess our visit is a little touchy, Professor.
You didn't believe that I could see you. Next time, I won't miss. Now, give it to me straight.
I told you I don't like the smell of a body that's been buried 5 years, and I ain't digging it up. Now, what else do you want?
Mr. Breton, are you in there?
Don't make a move.
Mr. Breton. Mr. Bailey, whatever happened here...
Okay, I hope you get a big kick out of beating up a helpless old guy. That was very tough. Very.
Professor, I got it. What happened, Earl? Where are you?
Right over here where that voice was coming from, and he's not here.
Maybe he moved over to another corner of the room.
Duck my light something, Professor. I'm going to light a match.
Careful now, Earl.
Well, I'll be. There's nobody here.
Who's that lying in the doorway?
Wait a minute. Looks like the old-timer. Here's his flashlight. I'll turn it on.
Here, put him in this chair, Earl.
No, it's too late, Professor. He's dead.
Dead?
That dirty rat killing a sweet, harmless old man.
Wait, what's this here on the floor?
Let me see.
Hotel key.
Hotel Markham, room 517.
Think that fell out of the old man's pocket?
No, that's a mobster's hotel. It's full of gamblers and racketmen.
Then that means if we go to room 517, we ought to be able to find out the man who did this.
You don't find anybody in that hotel. You smoke them out. Besides, that key might have been stolen just so somebody could plant it here. Don't you see that?
Then how are we going to know?
The voice, Professor. I'll never forget that voice. I'm promising the old man now that I'll find it.
Well, what do we do, Will?
You go find Henderson and tell him we won't be able to see him tonight. I'm going to the Hotel Markham. Meet me there as soon as you're through. In front of the hotel.
And what about the old man?
On our way out, we'll ring the night alarm. That'll bring the police.
But aren't we going to tell them what happened?
Right now, Professor, we don't know any more than they do. Come on, let's go.
Anything I can do? Oh, hello, Brenton.
How's the hotel business?
Oh, we don't complain.
Who's up in room 517?
Who wants to know?
I understand there's a game going on.
So?
So, I'd like to get in.
Well, there's a gentleman by the name of Sparrow rented the room. Maybe you know him.
That's all I wanted to hear. You can tell my good friend, Mr. Sparrow, I'm coming right up.
Don't worry. I will.
Oh. By the way, I hear there's a shortage of keys. You still lose many of them?
Certainly we do. Every day.
That's very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, look who's here, fellas. My old pal, Earl Breton.
Hiya, Sparrow.
Fine. Come on in.
How's the game?
Pretty good. You want to take a hand?
Yeah, maybe. How long you been playing?
Oh, about 12 hours. Now, meet the boys. All right, fellas. This is Dan Huber. He's new in this town.
Yeah? Didn't take you long to find this place, did it, Dan?
Hey, I got a nose for this stuff.
Yes. And you know Harry Jackson, Earl, don't you?
Sure, I know Harry. How are you, Harry?
Fine.
What did you say, Harry?
I said I'm fine. That's what I said.
Sure.
Now, this is Willie Garvin, and over here...
That's a funny name, Willie.
What's funny about it?
How do you spell it?
Garvin. Why? Does it sound familiar?
No, Willie, no.
And I don't have to introduce you to my partner, Joe Murray, huh?
Hello, Joe.
Hello.
Funny to find you and Sparrow in the same game, Joe.
What's funny about that?
Well, after all, you and Sparrow are partners, aren't you?
Nobody said for you, Breton, and if you don't like what goes on here, you can shove off.
Come on, Earl. When are you going to stop binding up Joe? Anyhow, he just come in a few minutes ago. So we really just started playing together.
Oh, just came in a few minutes ago. Where were you, Joe?
Since when do I report to you?
Well, I'm just curious, that's all.
I told you before, Breton, I don't like coppers, and that still goes. Now, let's get the game going.
Well, Earl, you taking a hand?
Sure, but first I got to get the professor. He's got my dough. I'll be back in a few
Wait a minute, Breton. What are you trying to pull? Why didn't you bring your dough in the first place?
I just wanted to see who was in the game.
Oh, sure, Joe. He's got a right to know. Go ahead, Earl. Get your dough. Oh, but don't forget to come back, huh? Otherwise, it wouldn't look so good, huh?
Sure, don't worry. I'll be back.
Earl, I'm over here.
Oh. How long you been waiting, Professor?
I just got here. Did you find out anything?
No, not a thing. I listened to every voice up there. Not one of them was the right one. How about you? Did you see Henderson?
Yeah, that is, I didn't see him, but I found out about him.
What do you mean, found out about him?
Well, when I got there, Earl, there were a lot of people outside the house, and the police were there.
Police? What happened?
Henderson was murdered.
It was midnight when the phone rang in the home of Earl Breton, a private detective. A man named Henderson was calling. Henderson, a crooked politician who insisted he was in danger of being killed, and that he had to see Breton immediately. Earl agreed to meet him in his office, but when he and his partner, the professor, arrived a few minutes later, they were faced with a peculiar situation. The lights in the office wouldn't work, and before they could investigate, a voice challenged them from the darkness. Their unknown visitor fired at them, purposely missing, in order to warn them that he meant business. The sound of the gun attracted the attention of the night watchman. He came to investigate and was killed by the intruder, who disappeared, leaving Earl with the old man's body and a clue, the key to room 517 at the Hotel Markham. They rang the police alarm, and Earl sent the professor to intercept Henderson, to break the appointment they had with him. Then he went to the hotel, to room 517, where he expected to find the killer. He interrupted a card game, but Sparrow, The gangster who was registered in 517 invited Earl to sit in, much to the displeasure of his partner, Joe Murray. Breton accepted, promising to return soon. He went down to the street where the professor was waiting. The professor had news for him. Henderson had been murdered.
How did you find out he was murdered, Professor?
I overheard two policemen talking to one another.
Did the cops know you were there?
Oh, no. We wouldn't want them to know we was interested, would we?
Good for you, Professor.
But now that I think of it, Earl, shouldn't we tell the police what we know?
Well, that's a good idea, except that we don't know anything they can't find out for themselves.
But they don't know that Henderson called us to meet him at the office. And then when we got there, we met somebody else. And it was that somebody else who killed the night watchman.
I know there's some connection between those two things, Professor. In fact, if I didn't know Henderson's voice so well...
You'd say that it was the man at the office who imitated it?
Sure, that's an old trick. A man disguises his voice to sound like... Hey, just a minute, Professor. Why couldn't it be...
You mean you actually think that the man we met in the office was the one who called us earlier, and he imitated Henderson's voice?
No. That'd be too obvious. The killer's much cleverer than that.
But you do think he had something to do with both of the murders?
Certainly. If he didn't, how would he know that we were coming down to the office at midnight? He was expecting us. So he must have been with Henderson at the time Henderson called us.
If you don't mind my saying so, Earl, it doesn't make sense. Why should this man have bothered to come down to our office just to ask us about some murder case that was over and forgotten 5 years ago?
That's just it, Professor. He didn't want that information at all. That was just to throw us off the track. That was why he left the key there when he slugged the old man and disappeared.
You mean he actually wanted us to follow him here to the Hotel Markham?
Don't you see? He was trying to establish the alibi that he was playing cards in this hotel at the time of the murder. And he could force us to testify as police witnesses that we saw him here.
Then why don't we tell that to the police?
Oh, Professor, you're slipping. You know the police don't want ideas. They've got their own. Besides, if we don't know whose voice we heard, what can we tell them?
Well, at least we can tell them that it was somebody who's up in that hotel room now.
Sure. But can we prove it?
I guess not. Well, then what can we do?
We gotta go upstairs and find out who that phony voice belongs to.
But our life can be very short in a place like this. I mean, I'm not thinking about me.
I know, Professor, I know. But I made a promise to that old watchman that I'd find the guy who killed him, and I like to keep a promise.
But we ain't got enough money to play cards with those people.
They don't know that.
Well, I don't think it should take them more than one hand to find out.
All right, then you'll have to stall. Now, one of those guys up there has a phony British voice.
So?
Listen.
Stay where you are, Breton. I told you I can see.
How's that?
If I wasn't looking at you, I'd swear it was the guy in the room.
Good. That's all I wanted to know.
I knew you'd keep your promise to come back, Earl.
Oh, why not? This is my night, Sparrow.
Well, come on, take a chair.
I think I'll let the professor play for me. I do much better when I'm looking over his shoulder.
Suit yourself.
Let's get going. You're holding up the game.
How many chips, Professor?
Well, that's up to Earl.
Chips? Why, what do you say we start off with $10 worth, Professor? I got a hunch.
I guess that's all right.
Wait a minute. Who you kidding, Breton? Since when do you figure you can get in on this game for $10?
That's just a starter, Joe. I always like to play hunches.
But you've got more than that, haven't you, Earl?
You know better than to ask me that, Sparrow.
Yeah? We'll see. Okay, deal 'em out.
Joe, if I didn't know that you just came into this game a little while ago, I'd figure that you were losing plenty.
Why?
You're so touchy.
I open. $5.
Raise your 10.
I'm out.
Well, playing it safe, Professor.
I'd rather not explain my game.
Maybe if Joe played it safer, he wouldn't be so worried all the time.
Oh, Joe. Joe's got lots on his mind.
I don't know, Sparrow. You're Joe's partner. You never seem to worry like he does.
What do you mean, worry? Who says I'm worried? I'm just careful, that's all. I don't trust nobody, see?
Nobody? You mean not even Sparrow, your own partner?
I said nobody.
Oh, Joe thinks maybe I talk too much.
That's right.
I didn't hear you say anything out of place, Sparrow.
He thinks I made a mistake telling you he just came into the game a little while ago.
I told you to shut up, Sparrow.
Oh, come on, Joe. You don't have to be afraid of Earl Breton.
He's a cop, and I told you don't have to know nothing.
He wouldn't repeat anything he heard up here, would you, Earl?
I always play it safe.
I think you're all right, Earl.
Mind if I stand up?
Where you going?
I just want to walk around a little bit, stretch my legs.
Just don't go looking at any hands.
Okay. I'll stand over here by the wall.
You're going to let the professor play by himself?
Sure. Hey, this is a very interesting electric light switch.
You guys don't cut the chatter, I'll blow this game off.
Hey, wait a minute.
Who put those lights out? Put the lights on.
What are you getting so crazy about, Joe? You act as if you just murdered someone.
Put up the lights, I said, quick.
I'm sorry, Joe. That was my mistake. I didn't know the light switched off this way.
Shut up. And you, Sparrow. What was the idea of saying I murdered someone?
What are you talking about, Joe? I didn't say anything.
Don't give me that stuff. I heard you. You can't fool me with that phony voice you put on.
I told you I didn't say anything.
Oh, yeah? Well, I happen to know that nobody else but you talks that way.
Cut it, you dope. Did you know that wasn't my voice?
Sparrow, if you're trying to pull anything...
Okay, Joe. Sparrow's right. Now, don't get sore. It was my fault. I didn't know.
That ain't the point, Breton. I want to know what he's trying to pull. And it ain't none of your business, copper.
I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry. It was my voice you heard, Joe.
What? Are you? All right. What's the game, Breton?
No game, Joe. Just a joke. That's all.
Sure, Joe. Just a joke. Very funny, too. Can't you take a joke, Joe?
Nuts. All right, Breton. You want to stay in this game, get up some real dough, or beat it?
Okay. I'll come clean with you. That's all the dough we got with us right now. If you let me go in the next room and make a call, I'll get some sent up here right away.
Why, sure. You want to use the phone, huh? Yes, it's right in the next room.
Thanks, Sparrow.
This is the desk.
Hello. Get me Spring 73100.
Spring 73100?
Right.
Oh, you're kidding. That's police headquarters. Say, have you got any complaints to make? Hold on there. Hey, wait a minute. What goes on here? It's one of your keys.
Oh, hello, Sparrow. I can't say much for your phone service.
No? What's the matter with it?
They wouldn't get a number for me.
I see. Who you calling is so important.
The police. I guess I can wait.
Well, say, I'm glad you came in here, Breton. I wanted to have a little talk with you. Alone.
You wouldn't use that revolver right here in this room, would you?
Wouldn't I? You know, I can do pretty much as I want to in this hotel. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. But if you killed me now, wouldn't you have to tell Joe why you did it?
Well, what do you mean?
I mean, wouldn't you have to tell him that you were tired of being partners with him and Henderson? That you wanted the whole racket for yourself? So that you killed Henderson, trying to make it look as though Joe did it so he could take the rap?
If you're trying to talk loud so Joe will hear you, I might as well tell you he just left.
Well, at least I found out it was you who slugged the night watchman in my building tonight.
So what?
Just that you killed him, that's all.
You shouldn't have gotten away.
Then you're admitting that you killed Henderson and the watchman.
Only to you, Breton. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to make sure that you'll never be able to tell it to the cops. See?
I don't have to tell them, Sparrow. They know about it already.
Oh, sure. You gave them all this information before you came up here.
No, I didn't tell them. You did.
You know something, Breton? I'm beginning to think you're a little bit nuts.
I suppose you wouldn't believe me if I told you the police are listening to you right now? They heard you admit all this to me?
Oh, now, wait a minute. Don't tell me you hid them in my closet.
No. But they're right outside in that room where we were just playing cards.
You're crazy.
Why don't you take a look?
Because I ain't dumb enough to turn my back on you.
Then that makes it easy for them to come in.
Drop the gun, Sparrow. Give it here.
What? It is the cops. What?
We heard the whole thing outside, Breton. Pretty smart.
But how did you get the cops up here?
I didn't get them, Sparrow. You did.
Cut it out, Breton.
It's true. You know the best way to bring the police is to leave a hotel key next to a dead man, and that's what you did.
Yeah, but you picked it up.
Not me. I just made a mental note of it, that's all.
What puzzles me, Earl, is how you know the police were out here when you made Sparrow talk.
That was easy. When I tried to put through a call before, I heard a voice at the switchboard asking about a key. And I just played a hunch.
I'm glad we got here in time. Come along, Sparrow.
Well, Professor, let's go home.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and look, if our phone rings again tonight, don't answer it.
shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubts and fears. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory in the haunting hour.
No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment, for this is a time of mystery, a time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the haunting hour. Nocturne. Exceedingly strange is this world, and of all the things in it, the strangest are the ways of men. There are those who harbor up bitterness, along whose network of nerves, taut as fiddle strings, lurks the primordial passion which branded Cain. And there are those whose thoughts are like lighted shadows against the stars, and the fiber of whose individuality throbs to beauty and the revelation of music. This is the story of two men, and of the role a piece of music and a searing flame played in their destiny. Two men, Matt and Stuart Bannock, twin brothers held together by the tenuous cobweb of blood ties, but poles apart in the warp of their lives. Matt, brooding and neurotic. Stuart, teeming with vigor, brilliant as a shaft of morning sunlight. That is Stuart playing.
You're always playing that infernal piece. Why, Stuart, why?
Matt, you've asked me that before. I like it. It's my favorite. You'd understand if you were a musician.
That's right. Rub it in. You're a musician, I'm not. I can't play a note.
Matt.
So you're talented and I'm not.
I didn't mean it that way.
You're admired by everyone and I'm not. And no matter what you meant. The fact is, I'm just a forgotten half of twin brothers. Everything conspires against me.
Matt, come on, you just haven't found yourself yet, that's all.
Haven't found myself. I find that I've been robbed.
Robbed?
Yes, my dear Stuart, robbed. And apparently there's nothing I can do about it.
What are you talking about?
Nothing.
Matt, you never said anything to me about it. When did it happen?
When we were born.
Afraid I don't follow you.
That's the trouble. I followed you. You were born first, ahead of me.
Sure, by all of 10 minutes, but what of it? I don't see that means anything.
Oh, naturally, you wouldn't. Those who ride never understand why those who walk are footsore. Those who possess don't understand the hunger of those in want.
Matt, you're talking in riddles. What are you trying to say?
I say you're a robber, a thief. Yes, you. My own twin brother. You're stolen from me. Matt, I don't understand. What have I taken from you? Talent. Personality. Intangible things that mark the difference between one man and another. Talent. Personality. Afraid I'm confused. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you ever wonder why people have no trouble telling us apart? No, I can't say that I have. Look, here we are, twins. Identical twins. We look alike in every respect. Yet no one ever calls you Matt or me Stuart. Do you know why? Why? Because they can sense the difference between us, that's why. Because the man who has and the man has not. Oh, don't look so amazed, Stuart. It's true. You're the one who has, and I'm the one who has not. And the things I lack are the qualities you have in overabundance. Strength, imagination, vigor, and talent. All the things that you've robbed from me. Matt, you're not making sense. Oh, yes, I am. I've thought it all out carefully. I've had years to do it, Stuart, and now I know. Now you know what? That a person is born with just so much luck or strength or talent. With twins, it has to be divided. There isn't quite enough of everything to go around, so one twin takes more than his fair share. He robs the other, just as you've robbed me, Stuart. It's quite a theory, Matt. It's a fact. Fact from which there can be only one escape for me. Mavis?
Yes, Matt?
Well, that is, you look very lovely today.
Oh, thank you, kind sir.
And, well, you're always beautiful.
Such flattery.
It isn't flattery, you know I mean it. Mavis, you know how I feel about you.
Please, Matt, we've gone all through that before.
I can't help it, Mavis. I love you. I'd do anything for you. I'd even kill for you.
Matt!
Yes, I'd kill for you. I can't stand the thought of some other man possessing you. I tell you, I won't allow it.
Please, Matt, you're all excited.
Oh, why shouldn't I be? You expect me to stand by and do nothing while another man steals all the things that I want?
No one is taking anything from you, Matt. I just don't love you. That's all.
Tell me the truth, Mavis. Is there someone else?
Yes.
I thought so. He always stands in the way of my happiness.
He? But I haven't said who it is.
You don't have to. I know.
But then you must be psychic.
Don't joke, Mavis. It isn't funny. Not to me.
I'm sorry.
Everyone is always sorry for me. Poor Matt, they say. He's not at all like Stuart, his twin brother. Oh, poor Matt. Isn't it too bad he isn't a musician, too? Oh, poor Matt.
Matt, please.
It's Stuart you love, isn't it?
I didn't say.
You don't have to. I can see it in your eyes. Why are you afraid to tell me?
I don't know. Maybe it's because of what I see in your eyes. I'll tell you what. I'll make you a promise. As soon as the news of my engagement is ready to be released, you'll be the first to know.
Thanks.
No. Now you feel like killing anyone?
Yes, more than ever. Mavis?
Yes, Stuart?
Well, that is, you look very lovely today.
Thank you, kind sir.
But then you're always beautiful. Mavis, what's the matter? You look faint.
Oh, it's nothing. I just remembered something that someone else said.
You mean there are others crazy enough to think you're beautiful, too?
So I've been led to believe.
I thought I was the only one.
You are the only one.
Oh, Mavis, darling. I love you.
And I love you.
Oh, this is wonderful. You're wonderful. Everything's wonderful. I want to tell the whole world about us.
Oh, but I promised to let someone be the first to know.
Who is it? Anyone I know?
It's Stuart, you will be careful, won't you?
Careful? Careful of what, dear?
Of, Oh, it's nothing. I guess I'm just being silly.
No, you're adorable. Come here. Now, still feel silly?
No. Oh, but, Stuart, darling.
Yes, dear?
Do be careful. For my sake, please.
Who's there? I said, who's there?
It's I.
Oh, Matt. Got me worried for a moment. I didn't know who it was. Guess I'm kind of nervous tonight. Mavis said something about being... Well, Matt, what's that you're carrying?
A bottle?
What's in it? A liquid? A what?
Gasoline.
Matt, what's the big idea? See this match in my hand? Yeah. That ought to give you your answer. Matt, that's dangerous. For you, not for me. What are you saying? You won't rob me this time, Stuart. You've taken talent and personality from me. Now you want the girl I love. But I can't stand the thought of some other man possessing Mavis, I tell you, and I won't allow it. That I didn't know. Well, you do now! I'm going to set the house on fire, and you're going to be burned alive, dear brother. Matt. You can't get out. The flames will have you trapped there in the corner, but I can get out. I'm standing here by the door. Matt, don't strike that match. Goodbye, Stuart. I'm paying you back for robbing me. Matt, all I have to do is throw the burning match into the liquid at your feet. Like this. Oh, my face. Explode in my face. I can't see. Matt! Stuart! Matt, where are you? Stuart! Don't save me! I can't! Save me! I'm cornered!
Can't go in there.
Oh, my fiancé is in there. Let go of me, officer, please.
Aye, but no one can go into that house. It's a solid mass of flames.
Please.
Nothing doing. Look, there's somebody at the window. He's going to jump.
Oh, let it be Stuart.
Go on, jump. Hurry, jump.
Stuart!
Hang on. Cover him up, Mike. He's still alive. I'm going to call an ambulance. And what do you want?
May I see him?
You better not, lady.
Oh, but please.
You happen to know the people who lived in this house?
Yes. My fiancé and his twin brother. Oh, let me see which it is.
Well, all right. There. Do you recognize him? Well, which is it?
I don't know.
Matt and Stuart Bannock, twin brothers, yet different as day and night. Matt, bitter and neurotic. Stuart, a brilliant pianist whose favorite music is one of Chopin's Nocturnes. Both are in love with Mavis, who loves Stuart. Matt believes he has been robbed of talent and personality by being born a twin. He sets fire to the Bannock house to kill Stuart. But he, too, is trapped in the flames. One man leaps from the burning building. Which is it? Matt or Stuart?
And the chief says there's no doubt it was a case of arson.
That so?
Yep. We found the fellow who sold the gasoline. He swears it was Matt Bannock who bought it.
He's positive, huh?
Yep. Says he knew both Stuart and Matt all their lives. Has never mistaken one for the other.
Makes the case pretty easy then, doesn't it, Kelly?
Bain, how long you been on the arson squad?
Oh, about 2 months.
Well, Babe, when you've been on it as long as I have, you'll know there's no such thing as a really easy case.
We've got the survivor, haven't we?
Yep. Got him under guard in the hospital.
Then all we have to do is identify him. What's so tough about that?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Except the guys were identical twins, and this fellow's badly banged up, and nobody knows whether it's Matt or Stewart.
No way of identifying him? By fingerprints or something?
No, we've checked everywhere. The prints have never been filed.
Well,
Yeah, go on. I'm listening.
Oh, why can't we get him to talk and identify himself?
We've tried that. He talks all right. He'll talk your arm off if you let him. But getting him to make sense, that's a different story.
Mavis?
Yes?
I want Mavis. I love Mavis. Will you tell her that when you see her?
Yes, I'll tell her.
Make her come to me. Without her, I'm lost, and everything is wasted.
Oh, try to rest, please.
You're not like Mavis.
Now, you must be quiet so you can get well.
Shall I tell you a secret? I love her. Everybody loves her, but I love her most.
She loves you, too.
How do you know? Who told you? Go away. Tell Mavis I want her.
I'll bring her to you if you just go to sleep. And when you wake, she'll be here beside you.
Tell her I love her. I'll sleep if you promise to tell Mavis I love her.
Yes, I promise. Now, close your eyes.
And that's how we can't get him to identify himself. He doesn't talk sense. His mind's deranged.
I see.
Well, you got any more brilliant ideas on how we can find out if he's Matt or if he's Stewart?
Well,
Go on, I'm still listening. I got nothing else to do.
Have you asked the doctors at the hospital how long it'll be before he recovers his senses?
Of course we asked the doctors. That's one of the first things we did when we found we couldn't get anything out of the man ourselves.
What'd they say?
Oh, they were very helpful. Very helpful indeed. They said as far as they could tell, he might be like that the rest of his life.
Gee, that's tough.
And then again, he might snap out of it at any time. A shock or something might restore his mind to normal.
That gives us some hope. See, Kelly, do you mind if I go along with you the next time you go to the hospital to see him?
No, not at all, not at all. What have I got to lose? There it is. 802. This is room.
All right. Wasted, I tell you. She won't let it. She won't let it. She's good.
Listen to
She
her.
won't. It's dark most of the time. Lights go out. She makes it bright again.
Kind of gives me the creeps.
Tell her to make it bright again. Tell
Hello.
her. Someone's here.
How are you feeling?
I don't know you. Who are you?
Oh, just a couple of friends. Who are you?
You wouldn't understand. It's the darkness, but she makes it bright.
Poor devil.
She's Mavis, and I...
You're Matt. You're Matt, aren't you?
I'm Matt? I'm Matt.
Huh?
I'm tired. I'm tired.
But you are Matt Bannock. We know that now.
I love Mavis.
Stop bluffing. You're Matt Bannock. You know you are.
I know I am. I am Matt Bannock? Yes. Yes, I am Matt Bannock. I'm Matt Bannock, and I've been robbed. Mavis makes the darkness bright.
Stop that. Now repeat after me. I am Matt Bannock. Go on, say it.
I am...
It's no use saying this cracked.
I think he's faking. What's your name?
I'm Stuart Bannock. I'm Stuart Bannock, and I have everything.
What's your name?
I'm Matt Bannock. I'm Matt. I've been robbed in my head.
What's your name?
I love Mavis. I love Mavis because she makes everything right.
I give up. He's
I love
right.
her.
Yeah, but let's get out of here.
I love Mavis.
Well, Matt Bannock or Stuart Bannock, whichever he is leaving the hospital today. Girl Mavis is taking him to her home.
Why?
Well, it seems she and Stewart became engaged the very day of the fire. She doesn't know whether this fellow is Matt or Stewart, but she isn't taking any chances. You know how loyal women can be.
Yeah.
I'd like to forget the whole case, but the chief won't stand for that. He won't rest or let us rest till he proves who the survivor is.
Yeah. But even if he is Matt, we can't get a conviction. The man is mentally unbalanced.
Or else he's putting on a darn good act. And an act always has a flaw that shows up in time. But whatever it is, he's still getting away with murder.
You're home now. This is your new home.
Home?
Yes.
I am home.
Yes. This is where you'll get well and strong again.
Strong? I will be strong again.
You see? You've spoken 2 rational sentences in succession.
Home.
Maybe the association of ideas and objects will help. Come along. Come along with me. That's it.
I like to be home. I like to be home.
Now, sit right down here. That's it. Look what's in front of you. See? It's a piano.
Piano?
Yes, a piano. Play it. Play the piano.
Piano.
Watch me. See? Like this. Now you do that.
Piano.
Here. Let me help you. Put your hands on the keys. Like this. That's it. Now play. Please.
Piano.
Please try. Try again. Oh, no. Here, drink this glass of milk.
If you see Mavis, you tell her I love her.
Yes, I'll tell her. But first take this glass. There, that's better. Oh, I'm so sorry for you.
Everyone is always sorry for me.
What?
I don't want to drink this. I'm tired. I'm tired of this.
Oh, you sound like me.
Tired of it all. Robbed of talent and personality.
Oh, no, it can't
I
be.
said robbed.
Don't wave your arm like that. You'll have to upset the table.
I can't stand the thought of some other man possessing Mavis.
That's worse.
Robbed.
He said that the day you...
I won't allow it.
Oh, be careful of that table. There's a burning chafing dish on it.
I tell you, I won't allow it.
Oh, the table. Now you've overturned it.
I won't allow it.
The rug. The rug is on fire. It's on fire. Get out of the way. Get out of the way while I put out this fire. Stand over there. Stand over there by the piano. There. There, the fire is out. Do you hear? The fire is out.
Fire? Fire?
Don't come near me. Stay there by the piano. Yes, by the piano.
Piano. Fire.
Piano!
Exceedingly strange is this world, and of all the things in it, the strangest are the ways of men. This is the story of 2 men, and of the role a piece of music and a searing flame played in their destiny. 2 men, Matt and Stewart Bannock, twin brothers, held together by the tenuous cobweb of blood ties, but poles apart in the warp of their lives. Matt, brooding and neurotic. Stewart, teeming with vigor, brilliant as a shaft of morning sunlight. From shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubts and fears. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory in the haunting hour.
No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment. For this is a time of mystery, a time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the haunting hour.
Revenge.
Listen. Those are bells tolling in requiem for a man who has died. How did he die, you ask? Listen to what happened to a girl who knew and whose mind was clouded dark with the fear of knowing. Listen to a tale of murder. It is late afternoon. Lee House is set strangely on a cliff beside the rolling sea. Autumn leaves fall, and with them the threads of night. And in a car, parked a little distance from the house at a pillared gate, sits a girl behind the wheel. Beside her stands an old man with sad and beguiling eyes.
It's a bad night, Miss Anna, to be driving the sea road.
I know, Jameson. But I must go. I must. How could I spend another night in that house? What could be keeping him?
This young man, Miss Anna, is he...
He's a good driver, Jameson. I'll be perfectly safe.
I do hope you will be, ma'am. Listen, you can hear the surf from here. How Mr. Jonathan loved the sea.
Jameson, don't. Oh, there's rain behind that wind, I bet.
Annabelle!
It's in my mind. Memory of him. I can still see him. Like that night a few weeks before he died. I mustn't think of it. Not now. Not now.
You can't forget me, Annabelle. Even when I'm dead, I'll live in your mind. I'll feed on your fear of my ghost.
I'd rather be dead. Jonathan, let me out of this house. Let me go.
My dear, you're too lovely for others to see, so I've no choice but to keep you within these walls.
Within this prison, you mean? Even that chauffeur's a spy. There isn't a moment of the day when I don't feel a pair of eyes watching everything I do. They even pry into my thoughts. Jonathan, if you have any kindness in your heart...
Look, here at the window. The ocean is white capped, far you can see.
Why do you torture me? How can you hate me so much?
I don't, my Annabelle. And this pleading, it's no use. You'll never forget me. I'll never let you go. I'll never let you go.
Miss Anna, why so pensive?
Oh, I was thinking. Remembering. Jameson, are you sure you want to be caretaker at Lee House? You won't be lonesome?
I wouldn't leave it, Miss Anna.
It'd be like leaving my little girl, my daughter Amy.
You loved her very much, didn't you?
That I did. And the morning we found her at the bottom of the cliff down there in the cold was almost more than my heart could bear. But that was long ago. Look there. Reckon that's the young man coming now.
Oh, yes, it is. Goodbye, Jameson. You've been a good friend. Thank you for that. Goodbye.
Good luck, Miss Anna, wherever you go.
Jim. Oh, Jim, I thought you'd never come.
Hello, Anna. Sorry.
Here, climb in here. Take the wheel.
Okay. A few last things to do at the Hendersons. You know how it is.
Jim, hold me close.
I was so worried. I was afraid you might think I wasn't coming. And all the time running over that hill, my heart kept pounding, saying, Simpleton Jim Brandt, even late for his elopement. Well, ready to start, Mrs. Brandt? Just you wait and see what a swell honeymoon trip I've got planned for us, Mrs. Brandt.
Oh, it's so wonderful. But is it real, Jim?
What do you mean real? Of course it's real.
Well, it seems like a good dream. After the last 3 months since he died, I've lived in a nightmare since then.
But it's over now.
Over and done with. Jim, don't think me silly, but they don't exist any longer, do they? I mean, people who are dead.
My heavens, no. Except in somebody's mind, maybe. Somebody who was close. A wife or a daughter like you, maybe. Especially a good-looking daughter like you.
Yes. I want to tell you something, Jim.
My, don't you sound serious, though.
I don't want to be serious. All I want to do is be close beside you.
Say, there's a road somewhere ahead that cuts off about 10 miles. Country road. We'll have to watch for it.
Remember the first day we met, Jim? That little country road?
Mm-hmm. Wasn't far from Lee House.
You just walked down that road from the Hendersons, and when I came along, you were poking at some rocks with a long stick, and I couldn't imagine what you were doing.
Oh, hey there, young lady. Would you like to see something?
See what?
Well, come here and find out. A whole nest of them. Down in this crevice in the rocks.
Nest of what?
Well, come and see. They won't fight you.
Oh, no, you tell me. I'd rather not look. That rattling...
That does give them away. Well, it's a mama snake and, I don't know how many chillin' in the nicest snake house you ever saw. Big fellas, too.
Oh, then you let them alone before they come out.
They'd be as scared of you as you'd be of them. Well, say, you live around here somewhere?
Yes, but I must go now.
Oh, no, wait a minute. I'm Jim Brandt, architect over at the Hendersons' place. Been adding that new wing and rebuilding the stable.
I heard about it.
Where do you live?
At the Lee House.
I've been on lots of walks around here, but I've never seen you before. How come?
I don't often go out.
Say, you must be Mr. Lee's daughter, huh? Or has he got a daughter?
I really can't talk with you, Mr. Brandt. I've got to hurry home.
Oh.
Goodbye.
Oh, hey, Miss Lee. Maybe I'll see you around here again sometime.
First time we met. Remember?
You were mighty strange that day.
I was afraid.
Afraid? Afraid of what?
Oh, I don't know. I guess because all the days were so full of him. Like the day he disappeared.
What do you mean, Anna?
He went sailing alone that day. Then suddenly the squall blew up, the wind and the waves, and nobody ever saw him again.
Annabelle.
Yes, Jim?
Annabelle Lee.
Huh?
Annabelle.
I didn't hear what you said.
I didn't.
But you did. You said my name.
You were just half asleep, that's all. Hey, what's that? Doggone it, Anna, we got a flat tire.
Don't stop, Jim. Don't stop here.
We have to. I can't ride the rim.
But there's nothing to fix it with, Jim. Let's go on, please. I don't care about the tire.
Anna, what's the matter? You think I'm going to ruin a perfectly good... Hey, look. There's a little house up there. I'll bet he's got a jack. Hey, up there. Oh, darling, don't look like that.
What's the matter?
Hello. Sorry to bother you. Have you got a jack I can borrow? Flat tire.
Sure. Hey, son, go get the jack out of the car.
You see, Anna, we'll have it fixed in no time. Oh, darling, don't look peeved.
You people headed for the turnpike?
That's right.
You're going the wrong way. Shortcut's back about a mile.
Oh, you mean we're past it?
Well, how do you do there, ma'am? Didn't see you at first.
How'd you do?
Don't guess you remember me. I come over and helped your husband's man, Jameson, fix the gardens this spring.
Jim.
It's too bad he's lost in that squall, Miss Lee. He's a fine gentleman, Mr. Jonathan was. It grieved us all to see your husband go like that.
Jim, you turned back. You're taking me home.
You were Jonathan's wife, Anna.
Don't take me back. I didn't lie to you, Jim. I was going to tell you.
When? After we got married? After...
No, I was going to tell you tonight. That second time I saw you after Jonathan disappeared, you asked my name. Even then you thought I was his daughter, and something wouldn't let me say I was his wife. He was so much older, Jim. Nearly 20 years.
How long were you married?
4 years. 4 dreadful years. I never loved him.
Anna.
I can't help it. He kept me like a prisoner in that gloomy house, watching me every minute. Oh, Jim, I do love you. Don't take me back.
It's all right, Anna. Don't get upset. Just be quiet for a few minutes. What's the matter? What are you looking back for?
Something's following us. I can feel it, Jim.
On this lonely road?
You're sorry you ever came.
Oh, Anna, stop it.
Say you're not sorry. Say you forgive me for deceiving
I do forgive you.
Then everything's all right, Jim. Don't hate me.
Oh, Anna, no. Let's not talk about it. Not now.
Yes, let's forget. Let's talk of something else. Look, it's beginning to rain. Night's come.
Yes. Listen to it on the roof. Seems to be saying your name. There's a poem written about you. Know that?
Yes.
Pose. I used to know it by heart. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea.
That a maiden there lived, whom you may know.
That's it.
By the name of Annabel Lee. And this maid, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me.
Say, you know it too.
Heard it 1,000,000 times. I know it all, every syllable. Jim, listen.
What?
It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea.
Jim, look.
What is it?
On the road in the lightning. A man in the rain.
Man, it's not anybody.
But you don't know. He was in the house from that first day he disappeared. I could hear him even before that. Out at sea, calling my name.
Oh, Anna, you've got to stop this.
But Jim...
You're just imagining it, I tell you.
Jim, I've got to tell you. I can't go on without telling you the truth.
What truth?
I killed him.
Anna.
I killed Jonathan. I killed my husband.
What are you saying?
Now you know. Now you can take me back to Lee House. You can take me back home. Back to him.
Jonathan Lee is dead. And our story begins one night a few months later when Anna, a young woman who has lived in seclusion for 4 years at Lee House, is to be married to Jim Brandt, a young architect. Jameson, the old caretaker, sees her off in the station wagon. And as Anna and Jim drive along, she confesses that she was Jonathan's wife, that she herself murdered him. Her mind is distraught with a terrible fear that the dead man is somehow among the undead, that he is waiting for her.
Oh, Anna, I don't believe you. What are you saying?
That I killed him. I planned to kill him.
No, you couldn't have.
I had to tell you. Because Jim, somehow he's not dead. You said the dead only live in somebody's mind. And they do. But they also live beyond the mind.
Oh, Anna, please.
That's why I couldn't wait to tell you. Calmly and sanely in the light of day. Jonathan's waiting somewhere for me.
Now, Anna, listen.
Don't you see, Jim? I thought I could run away from him. I thought I could send him out to sea and he'd never come back again.
Here, I'm going to stop the car.
Oh, no. Jim, please, no. If you loved me, take me on.
Tell me why. Why on earth did you do this?
I had to.
Tell me why.
That poem you mentioned. He used to say it to me. He used to love it. I'll hear him till I die. his voice droning out the words. Sometimes, Jim, he'd lie awake and I'd hear him whispering it over and over. Like the sea, mournful and sad. When I started working in the village at the library, 5 years ago that was, he used to come in and ask for Bo. At first I thought he was just a lonely old man, lonely because his wife was dead. That day, late in October, he asked me if I'd take the job of cataloging his library. It was right after my mother died. I was alone. He used to come in that big, dark room and ask to help. He used to say, "You're working too hard, Annabelle. Come for a sail with me." I went once or twice. He'd look at me with a strange kind of laughter in his eyes. Then he asked me to marry him. He asked me a dozen times. At last I did. And then 4 years in that house with the sea always pounding, the wind crying in the cove.
But what did he do, Anna? What could have made you...
He was going to kill me. Just as he killed the first Mrs. Lee.
What? He murdered her?
Oh, Jim. I had to do it. From the day I married him, I wasn't allowed out of that house. Except when he went along. That afternoon I met you. He'd gone for a sail, and I planned to run away.
Yes, you did have a suitcase, I remember.
But when I met you, I was sure you were one of his spies, so I had to go back again. That night, I went to his room. He was sitting in the huge chair by the fire. He looked up and smiled that grim smile.
Did you want something, Annabelle?
Jonathan, you loved me once. I had pity for you once, if not love. Oh, listen to me, please.
But you've said it all before, hundreds of times.
I couldn't say it enough, Jonathan. Please, please let me go. I'll do anything you say if you'll only let me go.
But, my dear, when I met you, didn't my money please your eye? Isn't it enough to have that?
It wasn't your money, Jonathan. It was pity for you. Only pity. I thought it was love.
Where is your pity now? No, Annabelle. I couldn't let you go. You'd find pity for another man and grow to believe that you loved him, too. How could I bear such a thing to happen? No. You see, your pity, as you call it, is only for me. Until the day you die.
What do you mean? Jonathan, what do you mean?
Soon, I'll let you go, Annabelle. Some day soon you must go for a sail with me.
I screamed and ran from him. My mind was sick with terror. What was I to do? The house was like a prison, and everywhere I turned were shadows and gloom, and Jonathan was part of it all. But I had one friend, and he'd come to me when I needed him most.
Hannah, don't turn on the light.
Jameson, where are you?
Here beside you. I've been waiting in your room because I had to see you without him knowing it.
Oh, Jameson, you've got to help me. I've got to get out of here.
No, Miss Anna. That's what he wants you to do. And that's why I came to stop you from going.
Why?
He'd follow you. He'd find you.
You heard what he said?
I've heard it before. The other Mrs. Lee. She begged him to let her go. Time and again she begged him. And one day, she took a boat from the cove.
He said she was lost in the sea.
Yes, Miss Anna. But Mr. Jonathan followed in a skiff, and then she never came back. He murdered her.
Jameson.
It's the truth.
I believe you. I do.
Then wait and plan. I'll help. But he mustn't know about it. Tomorrow, we'll talk tomorrow. If he goes sailing again.
Sailing? You're right, Jameson. I won't run away. I know now what I have to do. I know now what I must do. So that night, I made my plan. The next day, he did go sailing. And that was when I caught them. with a little cord noose I made myself. I lay on the rocks for a long time, looking down, waiting till I could get the cord over their heads.
Caught what?
The rattlesnakes you showed me that day.
Yeah.
I caught them and took them down to the cove in a box. And that night I put them in his boat in a coil of rope. I left them there.
Oh, Anna, how terrible.
The next day he went sailing again. He didn't see them at first. The motion of the boat and a sharp sting on his leg. And waiting in the dark, I could picture him. Fighting, drawing back, turning loose of the boom, climbing out of the pit. And the squall came. And he was gone.
Oh, Anna, what are we going to do?
But I had to, Jim.
And it wasn't because of me.
I'd only seen you once. I didn't know you weren't somebody he'd hired to watch me till I saw you again and again after he was dead. Oh, Jim.
Anna, look out. Hold on. It's a cliff. We're hanging over the edge, Anna. Get out, quick. Here, take my hand. This side, Anna, this side. That was close. Are you all right?
I'm all right.
Look, we nearly went over into the sea. Golly, we'd both have been killed.
Jim! Jim!
What, Anna?
We're back where we started. There's the house and the cliff.
What?
You brought me back.
Anna, you know I didn't.
Jim, look. Who is it, Jim? Yonder on the road.
I don't know.
It's Jonathan. He's walked up from the sea. Oh, let me go, Jim. Let me go.
Oh, it's only some man. Anna, come back here. Come back.
Hey, down there. What's the trouble?
Quick, man. Help me stop her.
Where'd she go?
I'm Jameson. We had an accident, Jameson. She's got some crazy notion in her head about a ghost. Look, she's running across the lawn.
Down to the sea path. Hurry. Miss Anna, it's me, Jameson.
Oh, Jameson. It's you. It's you.
Anna, where were you running to?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, my darling. You frightened us nearly to death.
It was only me on the road, ma'am.
I thought
She's shivering, sir. Here, take my coat, Miss Anna. It's Providence that brought you back tonight.
Why, Jameson?
There's nothing to say, Jameson. Jim, take me to the house.
But when Jonathan sailed away that day, the snakes weren't in the boat. I took them out. You see, he could have heard their rattles. And anyway, sir, I couldn't have Miss Anna do such a thing.
Jameson, you mean...
I couldn't have her do it, sir, when rightly the job was mine.
What you're trying to say...
It was my daughter Amy I was thinking of. How Mr. Jonathan drove her to love him like she did. And how he would smile at her in that laughing way, so that she'd jump from the rocks here down to the sea.
And that was why...
So, that day, before he went for his last sail, I cut the rigging ropes. And when the wind took the canvas strong, as it does when you ride the swells, they snapped. And I stood here on the cliff and watched the boom fly free, and down he went beneath it.
Oh, Jim.
How could I watch him murder you, Miss Anna, as he'd murdered my Amy?
Oh, you're free of it, Anna, now. Don't you see? It was only the fear in your mind.
I've got a fire going in the library, Miss Anna.
I'll take her in, Jameson.
I'll go see if I can get your car off the cliff.
Oh, no, Jameson. Let it alone. We don't care about the car.
But you two can be on your way again when the rain blows over.
Come along in, Anna. You're cold now. Here, pull the coat around you.
He did it for me, Jim.
Are you all right now?
Now I am. Jim, look. What's Jameson doing?
He's climbing in the car.
Stop him, Jim.
What? He started the motor.
But the car's hanging over the edge of the rocks. Jim, stop him. It's toppling. It's toppling over the cliff. Oh, Jim, how awful. It went over the cliff.
Down to the sea in the cold.
He did it all for me.
And for me, too, darling. But he's made everything all right, Anna. He's made everything all right.
From
In shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubt and fear. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory. In the haunting hour.
No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment, for this is a time of mystery, a time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is the haunting hour. The old men. At the foot of Fulton Street, where fishing vessels and other boats come laden with cargo for New York City's people and industry, lies the Schooner Hotel, surrounded by dingy fish markets, gray, forbidding warehouses, and abandoned buildings. It overlooks the cobblestones of South Street. Many years ago, perhaps, it was the private mansion of some colonial merchant. Now, it houses only the old, the poor, and the unwanted. Retired sailors and fishermen, broken-down draymen, and those who have lived out their lives, but have not died. One foggy December evening, a shining black limousine glided to a stop in front of the hotel. Mrs. Ralph Hollister sat in the back, tense with shock and astonishment.
Schooner Hotel. Snowden, are you sure this awful place is where my stepfather lives?
Yes, ma'am. I checked the address with the detective. He said Mr. Stebbins had been here 3 months, ma'am.
Snowden, wait here, please. If I need your help, I'll call you.
Yes, ma'am. Funny the old gentleman coming back to where he started, isn't it, Mrs. Hollister?
Well, don't worry, Snowden. He won't be there for long. How much higher, Mr. Hazard?
5th floor. Practically there. Here it is, Mum.
Be there, you old grave robber! What in the name of Sam Hill? Diana.
Good evening, Father.
Oh, yeah, Diana. Joe, I'd like you to meet my daughter, my stepdaughter. Diana, this walking corpse is Joe Hazard. He runs the place.
We've met. That'll be all, Mr. Hazard.
Yes, ma'am. See you later, Larry. Dead, I hope.
Let's go inside, Dad, and shut the door.
Have a seat, Diana.
I won't sit down because I'm not going to stay. You've had us all worried sick, running away from home and not letting us know where you were.
I sent you postcards. What more do you want?
You're coming home with me right now, immediately. Now, let's start packing.
Now, Diana, don't start that. I'm not going back to all those stuffy society people.
You're 78, Father. You're rich, entitled to comfort.
Diana, now you get this straight. I won't go back with you.
Dad.
Now, listen, Diana. I've got everything I want. Good fishing, good sleeping, good eating, good friends.
Friends? Those horrible old men?
Yes, friends. There's not one of us that doesn't look forward to the other's funeral.
Hey, Joe, put another lump of coal on the stove. It's cold in the lobby.
Why don't you wear a warmer shroud?
Now, don't be so stingy. You won't be here much longer to enjoy your money.
Look who's talking about money, Joe. The undertaker told me that Stebbins was in price in a gold casket the other day.
That's a good one.
Now, look here, Joe. There are 9 of us, all about the same age.
What do you mean, same age?
I'm 81. Okay, Pete. But you'll all see, I'm going to outlast the rest of you old duffers.
That boasting of yours is a bad business, Stebbins.
Joe's right. As a matter of fact, you haven't been looking so well lately, Stebbins.
Who says?
Me, Tim Owens.
So do I. Spinelli the Oysterman looked just like you do right before he was took. Huh? And he was hardly 75.
Now, look, Pete, if you don't stop me...
Don't be a sorehead, Stebbins. Pete's just paying you back.
I can take it, Tim. But you've all been ganging up on me. Haven't you, Scott?
What's fair is fair. Lay off him, boys.
Sonny's right, yeah.
Of course, Larry. And the boys can't help it. And many a time I seen him taking an old horse from Frenchy's stable. And I says to myself, I wonder when they're going to lead Larry Stebbins away.
You'd get a big kick out of seeing me go, wouldn't you?
Of course I would. With you gone and all our wills made out to the survivor, there'd be real money in the pie.
Sure, before we cut you in, the whole price for surviving weren't more than $20,000 for the whole 8 of us.
And now it's millions. That's why we're ganging up on you.
Larry, I never could figure why, with all your dough, you took a hand in.
Why, to win, of course, Tim. To see if I can lick the game of death the way I've licked everything else.
Stebbins, you know what I think.
No, what?
I think you're nuts.
What? Well, we'll see. Now, Tim, I ran into a bargain you could use real soon.
Yeah?
Yeah. A nice, cheap gray.
It was horrible, Ralph, and yet he absolutely refused to leave.
Well, Diana, we might as well face it. Your stepfather hasn't been happy living with us.
But why must he stay in a place like the schooner?
Oh, any other surroundings are too tame for him. He's always been a vigorous person.
Then, there's this morbid game they play. Why, it's incredible. One night he said he climbed into bed and found a tombstone there with his name on it. Oh, it isn't human, Ralph. It isn't human.
Oh, Diana. Now, darling, take it easy.
Ralph, you've got to make him move. You've just got to.
All right, Diana, but how?
I don't know. You just must go down there with me and speak to him.
No, I'm afraid speaking won't do any good, dear. We'll have to use force. All his life, Lawrence Stebbins has used force, and it's the only thing he understands.
Do you know where Mr. Stebbins is, Mr. Owens?
Couldn't rightly say. Saw him go out early this morning. Hasn't been sitting around the stove at all today like he usually does.
Well, where's Mr. Hazard?
Joe, he's out for a breath of air. Won't do him no good, though.
What do you mean?
He's bound to go anyway.
Ralph, don't listen to him. It's just that awful game.
Oh, here's Joe now. Hey, Joe, Larry Stebbins' daughter's looking for him. You seen him?
I've come to take Mr. Stebbins home, Mr. Hazard.
I'm afraid you won't be able to do that, Miss Hollister.
Why? Where is he?
Is this his cap, Mum?
Well, let me see it, please. Initials L.S. Abbott Brothers. Yes, that's where he buys his clothes. Yes, I think it is.
I thought so. Some kids out there gave it to me.
Where'd they find it?
They said it belonged to a guy who jumped off the end of the pier. An old man like myself, they said.
Suicide?
That's what it looks like to me, mister.
No, Ralph, it couldn't be. If there was one thing that Lawrence Stebbins wanted, it was to stay alive.
You mean...
I mean, if he died, there was just one reason. Murder.
Here it is, Fish Market Diner.
Well, let's go in, Ralph.
All right. But I still don't see why you're so suspicious. What can I do for you?
Did you know Lawrence Stebbins of the Schooner Hotel?
Sure, I know him. Great sport, regular customer.
Was he in here today?
Sure was. Had a big breakfast, was happy as a weasel. Next thing I knew, he kicked the bucket.
What do you mean he was happy?
Well, Mac, he was cracking wise. He did an old-time dance with his hat on his cane.
Hat? You mean his cap?
Oh, no, ma'am. He was wearing a hat.
If we just stand here opposite the hotel, we can watch who comes and goes without being seen in the dark.
Diana, watch that door. Someone's coming now.
you know him. That's Tim Owens.
No, I can't see very well. We better get closer. Let's go over behind the loading platform on the next pier.
All right. The light should show their faces better from there.
Let's go.
Made it. Ralph, look.
Look where?
Right behind me.
Yes, the two of the old men.
Pete Sanders and Charlie Hall. Both asleep.
Yes. But they're not asleep. They're dead. Stone dead. It was just at the side of the pier north of the hotel.
As soon as we saw them, we came for you, Sergeant Boyd.
You say there were two of them?
Yes, you can see for yourself.
Probably just a couple of bums sleeping off a drunk.
On a December night? Besides, I'm sure they were Pete Sanders and Charlie Hall.
They were dead, all right.
We'll see. You're a little edgy about your stepfather's suicide, ain't you, ma'am?
Oh, of course I am.
Well, you could have made a mistake. You know, the police boat is still out there dragging the river. May take days to find him.
Well, here we are. Now, we were standing just about here, weren't we, Diana? And the bodies... The bodies? They're gone.
Say, Joe, Sergeant Boyd was in here looking for Pete Sanders and Charlie Hall while you was out.
What do you want him for, Scotty?
Oh, said Stebbins' daughter thought she saw him dead.
Yeah, the way she and her husband was talking, you'd think Larry Stebbins wasn't fit for the undertaker anyway.
No, Tim. Don't hold it against the young lady. She's all worked up. They'll find the old man's body, she'll calm down, and we can all go to the funeral.
Say, Tim, you didn't happen to see Pete or Charlie this evening?
No, I didn't, Scotty. But I was out a while. Maybe Sullivan did. Wake up, Sullivan. Wake up. He's been sitting here in the lobby all evening, snoozing off and on.
That's a good idea, Tim. Sullivan. Hey, wake up. He's out like a light.
Hey, I think I'll hang some crepe on him. Scare him when he comes to.
Oh, lay off that stuff for a while, Tim. It gives me the willies. Sullivan.
Try shaking him, Scotty.
Sullivan, wake up. Pat. Hey, don't fall over like that. Joe, he's not asleep. He's dead.
Diana, let's go home. No one's gone in or out of the hotel for an hour.
Ralph, I'm just as cold as you are, but I'm going to stay here, even if it takes all night.
All right, darling. Anyway, I'm convinced that you're right. The person who killed Sanders and Hall killed your stepfather, too.
Only this time we came along before the bodies were disposed of. Ralph.
What, Diana?
Those were real bodies, weren't they?
Certainly. I even noticed a small wound on one. I think it was Hall.
That's exactly what I mean. If they were carried anywhere, there might be bloodstains.
Yes. We could trace them. They were probably taken backwards toward the river. I'll look there.
I'll look over here towards the street.
All right. No. Nothing here.
Ralph?
What?
Come here.
What is it, Diana?
I picked up a trail of dark red spots.
Good. Yes. We'll follow them. They seem to lead right to this abandoned building next to the hotel.
So they do.
From the direction, I'd say they'd go straight to that side door.
Oh, we'll try it.
Mm-hmm. That's where they've gone.
Well, try the door.
Diana. It's open. Come on in.
Good evening, Diana. Good evening, Ralph. I've been expecting you.
Mr. Stebbins.
When Lawrence Stebbins disappeared from the shabby schooner hotel at the waterfront, the police and everyone else thought he had committed suicide. However, his stepdaughter Diana and her husband, Ralph Hollister, felt that Larry Stebbins, who had fought his way up in the world, would not give up the ghost simply because he was badgered by the other old men living at the hotel. They were sure someone had begun to play the macabre game of death in earnest, especially after they found two of the old men dead. But when they opened the side door of the abandoned house next to the hotel and were greeted genially by the man whose murderer they were seeking, they didn't know what to think.
Well, Diana, what's the matter?
You look as if you're not glad to see me.
Oh, it's not that. Father, you're not... We thought that you were...
You gave us quite a turn, Mr. Stebbins. If we expected anything, we thought it would be your... I mean, that we wouldn't find you here quite like this.
You mean you thought I was dead? Well, why not say it?
Well, after all...
Can't stand this pussyfooting about a common natural word. We all die sooner or later. Question is, who manages to hold on a little longer?
Oh, please, don't start that morbid talk again.
It ain't morbid. It's natural.
It's horrible.
Now, Mr. and Mrs. Hollister, do you mind telling me what you're doing, snooping around at this time of night?
Well, sir, I think it's your turn to answer that question.
Why, right at this moment, the police are dragging the river for your body.
They are? That's downright amusing. Poor fellows must be cold out there.
I fail to see anything funny about it.
You wouldn't.
Why are you here?
I kind of like it here. Quiet. Lots of young people.
Stop that nonsense. Why are you here?
Here? Here? Oh, yes, here. I was locked up here.
Why, that's not true. The door was open when we came in.
That's true. Very true. And you know why the door was open?
No. All I know is that you're telling me a story.
You're wrong, Diana. You see, the door was open to let you come in. You wanted to come in, didn't you?
Yes, but I don't see what that has to do with...
You wanted to come in. I unlocked the door. Now, really, I don't see that you have any cause for complaint.
Oh, look, that's beside the point. You say you were locked in here. Why?
Why? Well, it's this way. A fellow wanted to kidnap me.
You mean that you're hiding here from someone?
No. He did kidnap me.
Oh, sure. And then he gave you a key so that you could get out.
The funny thing about that, he doesn't know I have the key. Now, what do you think about that, Diana? That's something, isn't it? Huh?
If you've got a key, why don't you leave?
No, couldn't do that. Next time he came around to check up on me, he'd miss me. Things just wouldn't work out right.
Just who is this person?
Who? Yes, who? Joe Hazard. He forced me in here.
Why?
Figure he wanted me out of the way for a little while. What do you think?
I think it's all a pack of lies.
What do you mean?
You don't have to stay down here 1 minute longer, and you're not going to.
You're coming home with us right now.
Now, wait a minute. Just who do you think you're bossing around?
Oh, Ralph didn't mean anything, Father. It's only that this whole stupid affair has gone far enough.
I told you I wasn't going uptown with you.
All right, Diana, it's no use arguing. There's only one way to handle this. Grab his other arm and get...
Let go.
Let go, will you? Careful, Ralph.
Ever since I retired, you two have been trying to run me. Well, you're not going to any longer. No one in the world can run Larry Stebbins.
Why, Lawrence Stebbins, what's come over you?
Just come to my senses, that's all. I want to stay here, and nobody's going to tell me different. Now, get moving.
What? Where to?
You're going down the cellar, where you can't interfere. Turn left. Now, down those stone steps.
Bloodstains, they go this way. I can't believe it.
Be quiet, Diana. You wouldn't want to get me in trouble, would you? Now, you. Ralph, open that closet door.
Ralph! The bodies, they're in here.
Go ahead, get in there, both of you.
Sanderson Hall show up yet, Tim?
No, Joe, and I've been sitting here all the time.
I'm beginning to think the Hollisters were right.
Yes, so am I, Scotty.
There's some funny things going on around here, and we ought to pay 'em some mind.
There's only 5 of us left. Us 3, McIntyre and Everett. We'd better work fast.
Where is Mac and Everett, Joe?
Went to bed, Tim. I told 'em they better stay down here, but they laughed and said I was nuts. Didn't they, Scotty?
Mac said he was going upstairs to dream about my burial. I got sore as all heck. I can't stand that talk anymore after what's happened.
Scotty, go upstairs and tell them to come down here.
We ought to keep together. I'd feel safer if I knew you was all sitting here in the lobby.
Okay, but they'll probably yell murder when I wake them.
You know what I think, Tim? I think Stebbins' suicide was a put-up job.
How do you figure that, Joe?
Just got a feeling. The way the boys acted when they gave me his cap, like they was rehearsed. And then everything that's happened tonight. I tell you, I'm scared. I'm scared stiff.
So am I.
You fellas thought Stebbins was kidding about living longer, but he's not that kind of a guy. Look how he made his dough in the shipping business.
What do you mean, Joe?
Oh, like he said once, he always got what he wanted. He wouldn't stop at nothing. Never has.
But murder, Joe, that's pretty terrible.
I wouldn't put it past him, Jim.
What's that?
It sounds like Scotty.
Joe, Jim, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here fast.
What's up, Scotty?
It's terrible, terrible. I went into the rooms and the beds was empty and the windows open.
Where were they?
I looked out the backyard and they was lying there, the two of them, in a heap.
There's only us three left now, Joe.
Boys, this is all Stebbins' work.
Stebbins? Oh, Stebbins is dead.
Joe was just telling me he thinks Larry faced this crook.
He's around somewhere, I tell you, and we're going to find him.
Well, where do you think he is, Joe?
I've got an idea. He's in the house next door.
Then how would he get in here?
Yeah, these used to be twin houses, Tim. There's a door in the cellar that connects them.
Let's go and find out. I'll get my gun.
I don't want to go there. Get the police. It's their job.
There's no time to get the police, Scotty.
Then let's get out of here. Let's go anywhere. Oh, he'll get us for sure if we stay here.
Scotty, we've got to stick together. There's only three of us left now.
Yeah, three of us and Stebbins.
Ralph, what's happening?
I can't hear very well through this ventilator, but I'm sure that after he locked us in here, he went upstairs. I heard the door slam, so he probably went out.
Oh, if he only hadn't locked us in here with these awful bodies.
Oh, Diana.
I suppose it's no use even trying to think he isn't guilty.
I'm afraid not, darling, after the way he's behaved.
But he's my own stepfather. Whatever happens, I can't turn him over to the police.
Maybe it won't be necessary. Once he's had his way for the last time in his life.
You mean?
Yes.
Oh, it's horrible to say, but I hope for his sake that he does it.
No, if there were only a way of getting out of here, it would make sense to decide what to do.
You don't mean we'll have to stay here?
Well, unless someone finds us or he lets us out, I wouldn't be too hopeful.
But that's impossible. Ralph, I don't want to die. I don't want to die, not in this terrible closet.
Quiet, Anna. I think I hear footsteps upstairs.
What is it?
He must be back again.
It sounds like more than one person.
Diana, door. The heavy door in the cellar wall that I told you about. It's opening.
Can you see who it is? Is it Father?
Not yet. Looks like three people.
Tim, Scotty, I was right. Look, blood on the floor.
It's Hazard. He's following the trail.
Poor Dad, it's over for him.
Leads to the closet.
I'll bet Pete and Charlie are in there.
Maybe they'll find us. I'll call.
No, Ralph, no. I'd rather die than tell them about my stepfather.
I'm going upstairs, Tim. Let me have your gun.
He's up there, Ralph. They'll find him. They'll kill him.
Here you are, Joe. You want Scotty and me to come along?
No, I think I can handle everything now.
We'll wait here, Joe.
You'll stay down here. Put up your hands, both of you, and move towards that closet door.
Joe, don't point that gun at us.
I told you I'd be the last to go, but none of you would believe me. To the rest of you, this was just a game. But if I don't get the money, and soon, I'm going to lose my hotel. There'll be only Stebbins and me. And the police will take care of him.
No, you wouldn't shoot an old pal, would you, Joe?
I did in the others, Tim.
No.
Just you two left. Now, move towards that closet.
Please, I don't want to...
Ralph, don't let them. They're coming in here.
There he is, Sergeant Boyd.
Okay, Mr. Stebbins.
Let go of me. Let go of me.
Not this time, Joe Hazard. We're booking you for murder.
Nice sitting out here in the park, ain't it, stranger?
Yeah, Pop.
Don't call me Pop. You know who I am?
No.
Yeah. Look at this clipping.
Waterfront hotel keeper convicted for murder of 7 on testimony of Lawrence Stebbins, retired shipping magnate.
That's me. Yes, sir. 7 murders, and there needn't have been any if I'd stopped Joe Hazard before he finished them off.
Really?
Yes, sir. Went to 8 funerals. But I really got a kick out of Joe Hazard's. Had to lock my stepdaughter and her husband up, too. They nearly crabbed my whole plan. You know, Joe Hazard thought he could plant all those murders on me. But you have to be pretty clever to outsmart Larry Stebbins.
Listen, Pop, you going to shut up? I'm reading.
Okay, mister, I'll go. 8 funerals. And no one will even talk to me. It's kind of lonely, though, now, Larry. Ain't it? No friends, no family. Yes, Larry, it's kind of lonely. Like a tomb.
shadows and stillness, mystery weaves a spell of strangest fascination, charging the mind with doubts and fears. For mystery is a strange companion, a living memory in the haunting hour.